Who said I didn't succeed? Who said I didn't succeed? One's heart could merge at will. Immersed, he had gained insights into the universe. Phew, suction, whoosh, inhale, in the span of a breath. Long Fei seemed to have sensed something, but also seemed to have sensed nothing at all. It was as if you were holding something in your hand, and when you opened it and looked at it, there was nothing there. Wonderful. Furthermore, as Long Fei's mind became more and more preoccupied with himself, this feeling became even more intense. That's not right. The heaven and earth shall become the furnace. I feel like the sky and the earth. Long Fei's heart was startled. Is this the world inside the heaven and earth? Huff! What a powerful aura. What a powerful cauldron. Then of course it's fire. Long Fei's heart calmed down once again. The metal pot turned red and hot air crazily rushed over. Xiao Dai did not look anymore and continued to speak in a low voice. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes flashed with a bright light. I understand. In that instant, the three spirit grasses slightly moved as they injected their true qi into it. A single spirit grass that was exposed to the strong heat waves in the iron pot actually floated in midair. The spirit liquid was released. Next, he put in the second spirit grass. It was also floating in the air. The third spirit grass did not hurriedly put it down, but was waiting for the spirit liquid to be completely released from the first two. At the same time, he was also waiting, heaven, earth, the influx of natural power. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. The energy of heaven and earth that Long Fei could feel right now was extremely thin, and it was the same for his natural energy. If not for the voice that rang in his head, he simply did not know what this energy was. Roar! A gentle voice rang out. Long Fei moved again. After putting the third spirit grass in, the spirit liquid was released crazily. The spirit liquid released by the first two spirit grass had completely enveloped the third one's holy source. The three types of holy source interweaved, converging and frantically fusing. They were like the training of a martial artist. It was attempting to break through the final bottleneck. Long Fei poured everything into his heart and body. Cold sweat poured down his forehead, and his whole body was drenched in sweat. He didn't feel anything at all. He had entered a very strange state of oblivion. This kind of feeling was as if he was the strongest alchemy master. Huff, huff, huff. Long Fei's breathing became a little hurried. The true qi could not endure it. Right now, he was only at the first grade of refining body with a true qi value of 200 points. All of these points were injected into the spirit grass. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes darkened. At this moment, boom, the metal pot exploded, emitting a loud sound. A wave of flames immediately surged out. Long Fei's expression changed and cried out, "This is bad." At the critical moment, the metal pot exploded. "I'm afraid this pill." He heard a loud explosion in the kitchen, and the stench of burnt flesh permeated the air. A disciple of the pill pavilion laughed heartily. The furnace has exploded. The furnace has exploded. That's not right. More accurately, it should be a huge mess. They don't even have any pill furnaces. The crowd burst into laughter again. The loud sound just now was clearly the explosion of a furnace. This also meant that his alchemy had failed. Lin Yu revealed a proud and cold smile. If you want to obtain alchemy from a fool, doesn't that mean that everyone in this world is an alchemy grandmaster? You overestimate yourself. Guo Qingshan quickly ran up and said loudly, "Xiao Dai." At any time, he would always be worried about Xiao Dai. Xiao Dai replied, "Father, I'm fine." In the kitchen, thick smoke billowed out. Xiao Dai could not help but cough continuously and ran out from the kitchen, his face pitch black, looking to be in a sorry state. Panting heavily, he shouted towards the kitchen, along, quickly come out." It blew up. Xiao Dai never thought it would be like this. Even if the pot was melted down, it would only crack. How could it explode? He couldn't figure it out. Long Fei stood blankly at the side of the stove, his heart a deathly still. His alchemy had failed. This meant that if he failed the quest, his level would return to level 0. What made Long Fei even more sad was that he couldn't help Xiao Dai, nor could he save Qing Niu. Why? Long Fei clenched his fists. He had a firm grasp on everything that happened previously, but just a tiny bit of carelessness had caused the pill to fail. Even the pill furnace didn't succeed. Long Fei had not reached the level of the dragon coffin in the world of cultivation. More importantly, his true Qi were far from enough. This was the direct reason. Furthermore, a small detoxification panacea could not support the sky. With such a great power, even if the detoxification panacea did not explode, it would not succeed. He looked at the exploded metal pot. Long Fei felt very bad in his heart. The people gathered outside. Seeing Xiao Dai's jet-black face, they all laughed out loud. "Ha ha! A fool still wants alchemy. Why didn't you go up into the sky? Take a piss and look at yourself. Do you think anyone can use alchemy? Alchemy requires talent. If you can use your alchemy, then I'm already a true martial emperor." Ha ha! Hearing everyone's ridicule, Long Fei's heart became even more unsatisfied. At this time, Lin Yu walked up and sneered. "Idiot! Are you pretending to be dead? It's fine if he doesn't come out. You said it just now. Since you lost, you can do whatever I want you to. But now that you're not coming out, you can let Xiao Dai replace you and sleep with me tonight." Xiao Dai was furious. Finished. Lin Yu loudly laughed again. "It's fine to make Gue Qingshan kneel down and bark like a dog, huh?" He taunted her ruthlessly. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly, his nails digging into the flesh of his palms, causing his anger to surge and expand. At this moment, as the thick smoke slowly dispersed, Long Fei could see that there was something viscous like black glue on the sides of the pot. These were all the spirit grass liquids that seemed to have burst from the frying pan. Long Fei moved his finger and lightly inhaled. Ding! True Qi value plus 50 points. Huh. Long Fei was shocked. This liquid can increase the value of the true Qi. Then, immediately, Long Fei did not care too much about it. He gathered all the black glue on the side of the pot and formed a round ball, which was the size of sugar bean. It looked just like a pill. However, it was much smaller than an ordinary pill. However, Long Fei could guarantee that it was stronger than any detoxification panacea. When the heavens and the earth were the furnace, it was naturally the fire. Although it was not a success, it was because the pill itself could not withstand it. The moment the cauldron exploded, the spirit liquid gathered. It was actually a success. The alchemy that the dragon coffin's cultivation time had taught him was extremely profound. Those who were able to withstand the tempering of the heaven and earth powers would possess immense power, even if they failed. Moreover, Long Fei gathered the black glue and glanced at the sky, sword hanging from his waist. He muttered, "Is this also your credit?" The pot exploded, but the liquid did not evaporate. Was this luck? If this was luck, it would definitely be heaven-defying. Super heaven-defying. And then, Long Fei walked out of the kitchen in large strides and shouted loudly, "Who the hell said I didn't finish refining it? Get ready to kneel down and bark like a dog. Thank you for your support." Chapter 2214, Green Ox Speaking. Chapter 2214, Green Ox Speaking. Long Fei walked out with large strides. The detoxification panacea, refining, had failed. To him, this was indeed a failure. However, even if he failed, even if the furnace exploded, even if the elixir he just concocted was left with only a little bit of dregs, this was still an unbelievable success for the people outside the house. His hair was disheveled and his face was dark. The explosion just now had caused Long Fei's face to turn black, as if he had turned into charcoal. When he walked out, the crowd immediately burst into laughter. "Ha ha! Ha ha! Using alchemy. Who the hell came up with this method? I'm dying of laughter. A fool is a fool. You big fool." Xiao Dai looked at Long Fei and almost couldn't hold it in either. Seeing that everyone was laughing at Long Fei, she immediately shouted out, "What are you laughing at? Whoever laughs at me again, I'll show him." She promised to protect Long Fei. She would do what she said. Everyone shivered. Lin Yu walked forward and continued to laugh. "Idiot! Where are the pills?" Xiao Dai took a step forward and blocked in front of Long Fei. Pills, no, what's wrong? Your pill pavilion's disciples are extraordinary. The cauldron had just exploded, so how could the pill be successful? Not to mention, Xiao Dai was very clear that Long Fei did not even know alchemy. So how could he take out detoxification panacea? Yes. Lin Yu sneered and said complacently, "You're right. Our pill pavilion's disciples are truly extraordinary. What about it? At the very least, the disciples of our pill pavilion wouldn't be so stupid as to use a walk of alchemy." As soon as he finished, the crowd burst into laughter again. Xiao Dai's face became angry and shouted, "Lin Yu, we do not welcome you here. Please scram." Scram. Umph. Lin Yu coldly snorted and said, "You heard the gambling match just now. If he doesn't have the detoxification panacea, he would have to kneel down and kowtow to me, learning to bark like a dog, or else." Lin Yu stared at Xiao Dai's chest and laughed sinisterly. "Why don't you accompany me tonight?" "You?" Xiao Dai was furious. Gui Qingshan's eyes darkened as well. Long Fei bypassed Xiao Dai and said, "What if I can take out a detoxification panacea? With just you? A useless fool? Do you think that's possible?" Lin Yu's face was filled with contempt and said, "Don't tell me you're treating this as a pill?" "Ha ha ha," Long Fei said indifferently. "How about a bigger bet?" Lin Yu said, "You want to scare me?" Long Fei immediately asked, "Do you dare?" Lin Yu said, "Did you think I would be afraid of you? If I win, besides kneeling down and barking like a dog, I want her to accompany me for the night." His finger moved as he pointed at Xiao Dai. Xiao Dai's expression changed. Gui Qingshan immediately stepped forward and shouted, "Stop messing around." Lin Yu laughed coldly and said, "What? Do you not dare?" Gui Qingshan's eyes stared wide and said, "Lin Yu, you clearly knew that his brain was not good, clearly knew that he did not know alchemy, and yet you still made a bet with him and bullied a fool? What are you trying to do?" He didn't care about anything else. However, this could not involve Xiao Dai. This was his bottom line. Lin Yu laughed. "I am just bullying a fool. What about it? Not only is he a fool, he is also trash. Trash fool, I'm going to bully him. What about it?" Aggressive. He was extremely pleased with himself. Xiao Dai was enraged and said, "A long bet with him." Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, Lin Yu immediately said, "All right, you agreed to it yourself, huh? Just stay with me tonight, huh?" Gui Qingshan's expression changed slightly. Xiao Dai's heart was also cold and somewhat regretful. However, she did not take back her words. Instead, she put her hands on her waist and said fiercely, "You've lost?" Lin Yu said, "I'm fine with anything you want. Cut the crap. Admit defeat. He won't be able to take out the detoxification panacea. He must have won the bet." At this moment, Long Fei flipped his right hand and took out the detoxification panacea that he had failed to refine a moment ago, and said, "This is the pellet." Everyone looked over. Lin Yu's expression was shocked when he saw the medicinal pellet that was as thin as a sugar bean in Long Fei's hand. Poochie. "Ha ha, ha ha." Next, everyone laughed. Xiao Dai's expression also darkened. Gui Qingshan shook his head lightly. "This is a pill. Are you sure it's a pill and not some dirty stuff from your body?" "Ha ha ha. You really are a fool. Too funny. Are you kidding me?" The pill in Long Fei's hand could be said to have the appearance of It was like a pile of big, black turd, and the kind that had been in his hands for a while. No one would believe that this was a spirit pill. Lin Yu laughed. "Idiot, you lost. Kneel." He doesn't even know what a medicinal pill is. He hasn't even seen one before. "Exactly. Kneel and learn to bark." Long Fei said, "How did I lose?" Xiao Dai pulled on his clothes, signaling for him to stop talking. It was embarrassing enough. If he continued to quibble, he would only embarrass himself even more. Lin Yu did not look at Long Fei, but stared straight at Xiao Dai and said, "Xiao Dai, if you admit defeat, you are willing to bet. Now follow me." Long Fei asked again, "On what basis do you think this is not a detoxification panacea?" Lin Yu glanced at Long Fei and said with contempt, "Do you know what medicinal pellets are? You're just a fool. What do you know? Your father doesn't understand? You understand?" Long Fei was very unhappy. He walked to the front of the cattail with large strides and said, "Is this green ox injured? You must be poisoned. Open your dog eyes wide and see clearly." Long Fei placed the small medicinal pellet in front of Qing Niu and said, "De Shui Niu, eat it." Qing Niu looked at Long Fei, then at the tiny pellet in his hand, and revealed a helpless expression. He did not want to eat it, because he did not want to embarrass Long Fei again. Long Fei did not care. He stuffed it directly into the green ox's mouth. This action once again attracted the ridicule of everyone. "Ha ha! A fool is a fool." Lin Yu said, "If you dig out more nose poop, there will be another pill." And then Lin Yu stared at Xiao Dai again and said, "Follow me." No one looked at Long Fei again. That pill had no effect at all, and now they were watching a good show. Xiao Dai took half a step back and said, "If I don't follow you, then who are you?" Lin Yu sneered and said, "What? You want to go back on your word? With so many people watching, you still want to renege?" Everyone shouted in unison. "We all saw it." "Exactly. Senior brother Lin, you submitted tonight." "Ha!" Lin Yu said indifferently. "If you're willing to admit defeat, then it's useless even if the law enforcement hall's elders come." Finished. Lin Yu took a step forward. With one hand, he grabbed toward Xiao Dai. It was also at this time. Several disciples of the Pill Pavilion stepped forward in unison to block Gui Qingshan. At the same time, a deep voice rang out. "Let me see who dares to touch him." It was not Gui Qingshan's voice. It was also not Long Fei's voice. Everyone looked over. He had finally said it. "You dare to be so arrogant with me? Come on. You dare to be so arrogant with me? Come on." The sound came from the direction of the corral. The figure was extremely muscular. It was vigorous and powerful, and it brought with it a powerful and oppressive aura. The entire audience went silent. Gui Qingshan was the first to react and immediately looked towards the bullpen. He thought it was Long Fei's angry voice. However, Long Fei was also stunned on the spot. His mouth shut tight. He did not make a sound. Everyone looked at Long Fei. He was the only person in the area. If it wasn't him, then who else could it be? Long Fei was confused. He did not say anything, but he was very clear on who it was that had spoken. It was the big buffalo beside him. Lin Yu stared at Long Fei coldly and said, "Trash, do you still want to try and force your way out? Someone come. Make him kneel and kowtow, imitate a dog." The two disciples of Powder Pavilion S immediately charged towards Long Fei. Xiao Dai shouted loudly and said, "A long run." Long Fei did not move. His body slightly sank down as his right hand held onto the rusted sword. Right when the two of them were in front of Long Fei, that vigorous and powerful voice attacked him once again. "Who's going to touch a single hair on his head?" This time, everyone could hear it very clearly. It was also very clear. The ox spoke. The buffalo spoke. Everyone was dumbfounded. As for the two disciples who rushed to the front of Long Fei, they were also stunned, but at that moment, they still made their moves, both palms striking towards Long Fei. Bam! Bison crash. In a flash, the cowshed collapsed. The gigantic water buffalo charged out like crazy. Before the two of them could react, he had already sent them flying. The great water bull stood in front of Long Fei and shouted in an incomparably domineering manner. Who else? Overbearing to the point of being a complete mess. Long Fei himself was dumbfounded. This. There was not a single sound from the crowd. Everyone looked at the water buffalo in shock. It was already an incredible feat to be able to speak, but he actually knew a martial art technique. Just now, the cultivation levels of the two disciples of Powder Pavilion S were at the 5th grade, refining body instantly being sent flying. However, it was even stranger. The wound on the buffalo's back was completely healed. The poison was removed. Too unthinkable. Was this the effect of Long Fei's shitty nose pill? If it was, then that detoxification panacea must have been above the Zhen Wu continent's divine great spirit pellet. When the wild bee spoke, it immediately understood the technique. If word of this got out, even ghosts would not believe it. Stunned, Long Fei grinned, glanced at the injuries on Qing Yo's back, and smiled lightly. "Am I refining detoxification panacea? Is that so? Isn't it?" She stared at Lin Yu. Xiao Dai was overjoyed. He immediately ran forward to look at the water buffalo and said, "Big water buffalo, you can talk? You can actually speak? All the injuries on your body have also healed. He. However, she never thought that this was the result of Long Fei's medicinal pellet. However, she turned and stared at Lin Yu and said complacently, "Senior brother Lin, now you have lost." Everyone recovered from the shock. Lin Yu swallowed his saliva and said, "Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. He's just a fool. He simply doesn't understand alchemy. How could he refine a detoxification panacea? He must have consumed some other medicinal pill. He definitely didn't refine it. He just couldn't believe it." Xiao Dai said, "If you admit defeat, all the senior brother disciples present can testify to this. Even if you call for the law enforcement hall, it would be useless." It was completely what Lin Yu had said just now, and he returned everything back to her. Lin Yu's expression became ugly. With a wave of his sleeve, he let out a cold and heavy shout. "Let's go." He turned around and was about to leave. Long Fei pointed to the sky and said, "Qing Yo." The enormous body of the azure ox was incomparably nimble, instantly blocking the way down the mountain. Long Fei said in disdain, "You want to leave after acting tough? Does Lousy agree?" Lin Yu looked at the big buffalo in front of him. The big buffalo stared at him like a pair of lanterns. Fear arose in his heart as he said solemnly, "Do I need the consent of a fool like you to come down the mountain? Kid, who do you think you are? Do you know who I am? You dare to block my way. Do you know what the consequences will be?" The Pill Pavilion held a very high position in the Xinyu sect. Moreover, he would rather offend an elder than the people from the Pill Pavilion if he had to control the distribution of medicinal pills in the sect. Offending them was equivalent to cutting off one's path of cultivation. Without the assistance of a spiritual pill, how could he become a cultivator? This was also why Lin Yu was able to act so boldly and brazenly. He was the head disciple of the Pill Pavilion and also a level 1 alchemy master. A fool that wasn't even a disciple of the Xinyu sect? Gui Qingshan's brows tightened and said solemnly, "Qing Yo, get out of the way." The disciples of the Pill Pavilion could not be provoked. If Long Fei still wanted to stay in the Xinyu sect and enter the Xinyu sect, then he could not offend the disciples of the Pill Pavilion. Gui Qingshan was also thinking for Long Fei. Young people were full of vigor. Qing Yo looked at Long Fei. Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, Gui Qingshan once again said solemnly, "Get out of the way." Xiao Dai bit his lips and said, "Father, we cannot let them leave like this." Just now, how arrogant were they? Gui Qingshan looked at the cyan cow and said once again, "Let them go." Lin Yu began to laugh coldly. "Trash, did you see that? Gui Qingshan told you to get out of the way." "What are you talking about? You still want to block my way? Ha ha, are you worthy?" Then, Lin Yu looked at Xiao Dai and said, "Xiao Dai, I'll come look for you next time." He had a lecherous look on his face. Long Fei was immediately enraged and shouted loudly, "Qing Yo, break his egg." Moo. The green ox dug into the ground with its front legs and let out a roar. Lin Yu's face tensed up and instantly became pale as he shouted, "Bastard, you dare." Not waiting for him to finish, the green ox head tilted to the side, its horns moved, and directly pierced into Lin Yu's groin, raising him up into the sky. Kacha kacha! 2 crisp cracking sounds could be heard. Lin Yu was in so much pain that his eyeballs nearly burst out. He screamed miserably again and again as he smashed down from midair, his hands covering his lower body as his body curled up into the shape of a shrimp. His body twitched nonstop. He was in so much pain that he couldn't even make a sound. Not just him. Even the people around him who saw it couldn't help but clench their chrysanthemums. The pain felt as if they were tearing at a man. Long Fei slowly walked forward and said, "You're being arrogant with me? Come on, arrogant. Isn't it unreasonable? Aren't you disciple of Powder Pavilion? Aren't you of esteemed status? What Lousy has done is to make a self-righteous person like you." While speaking, Long Fei's right leg fiercely kicked down, specially aiming for Lin Yu's face. Kick. Feeling good? The surrounding people were all scared silly. Wasn't it a little too crazy for a fool to go crazy? Chapter 22:16 Violent Strikes. Chapter 22:16 Violent Strikes. 3 consecutive minutes of fierce beating. Long Fei didn't care if he was severely injured or not. It was to take advantage of his illness and take his life. He was only at the 1st rank. If he wanted to fight someone at the 8th rank, he wasn't a match for him. How could he let go of this opportunity? A fierce and brutal beating. The surrounding people were all dumbfounded. Lin Yu's face was badly mutilated to the point that he could not recognize her. Satisfying, Long Fei shouted, "Arrogant? I have never seen anyone who is so arrogant." The last kick landed. He clapped his hands and looked at the people around him. He shouted, "Have you never seen a fool go crazy?" Everyone immediately retreated. He didn't dare to approach. Long Fei stared at the half-dead Lin Yu and said, "If you dare to be even the slightest bit disrespectful to Xiao Dai again, this old man will cut off your life force." Scram. Finished. Long Fei turned and gave Xiao Dai an honest smile. Xiao Dai also giggled. Only Gui Qingshan's face was gloomy, his brows knitted tightly. A few disciples of the Pill Pavilion helped Lin Yu back down a mountain. The other disciples followed suit and quickly left the mountain. Xiao Dai ran over and grabbed Long Fei's arm. He was extremely happy and said, "Along, you were so cool just now." Gui Qingshan's face sank and said, "I didn't bring you to the Xianyu sect to stir up trouble." Xiao Dai pouted and said, "Daddy, how did Along get into trouble? Look at how arrogant the people from the Pill Pavilion are. We should show them to them. Yi Changfeng was the one who ordered them to do this." Humph. Xiao Dai was not stupid. Without the support of an elder, even if Lin Yu viewed him with contempt, he would not dare to be too presumptuous towards an elder. Gui Qingshan heaved a heavy sigh and said, "Now that he has offended the Pill Pavilion, how will he be able to enter the Xianyu sect in the future?" Thinking of this, Xiao Dai's face darkened as well. Long Fei, however, did not mind, and said, "Does the Pill Pavilion still have the ability to cover the sky with one hand?" Xiao Dai said, "When Uncle's sect master went into closed-door cultivation, Great Elder Yi Changfeng of the Pill Pavilion really was able to cover the sky with one hand, not to mention that he has the support of the Zhao family behind him." Long Fei said, "So what? I've passed the examination. He can't possibly refuse me, right?" Xiao Dai said, "This year's Xianyu sect assessment has increased in level and requires 3rd-grade refining body martial artists to have the right to scream and test. Furthermore, regardless of talent or martial arts training, they all have to meet the standard. Even if this is not a definite result, there are still other factors. In short, it was difficult. 3rd-grade refining body." Long Fei said softly, and he thought to himself, "Is it very difficult?" Xiao Dai looked at Long Fei and said, "Forget it. Let's not talk about this anymore." Actually, Xiao Dai and Gui Qingshan had originally planned to let Long Fei go through the back door. However, with the 7th Prince's incident, coupled with the fact that he offended the Pill Pavilion, he probably wouldn't be able to leave from the back door. Gui Qingshan rather admired Long Fei, who had all passed the examination. There was no excuse, right? Using one's strength to enter. Xiao Dai asked, "Along, what exactly happened to the pill?" Gui Qingshan also looked at Long Fei seriously. He didn't really believe that Long Fei could refine a pill, and furthermore, even the Cyan Bull had spoken, and he had even comprehended a crude cultivation method. Was this the effect of a single pill? It was simply impossible. Long Fei scratched his head and said, "I don't know either." He really didn't know. The voice in his mind was the voice of the system. He did not even know what it was, but he knew that he could not let a second person know about it. Even someone close to him couldn't do it. Gui Qingshan walked in front of the ox stall and said, "Could it be that he ate some high-ranked spirit grass?" But his brows furrowed as he muttered to himself. Even divine ranked spirit grass would not let an ox speak. They even comprehended a cultivation technique. It was too strange. Xiao Dai looked at the water buffalo and said, "Dainyu, do you know what's going on?" He also shook his head and said, I don't know either. I felt that there was an extremely huge power in my body, and when I released this power from my entire body, I immediately let out a furious roar. I never thought that I would actually be able to speak in a human tone. All of this came from Long Fei's thin pellet. He knew it better than anyone. However, he couldn't tell what kind of pill it was and why it contained such a powerful energy. It could be said, Long Fei gave him a second life. Long Fei did not say anything. Even if Xiao Dai asked him, he wouldn't say it. Xiao Dai muttered, Then that's strange. Forget it. Anyways, your injuries have recovered and you can speak again. That's great. Xiao Dai was a happy person. She was too lazy to think too much about matters that troubled her. However, she did not think about the effects of Long Fei's pill. He also didn't think that Long Fei was capable of alchemy. Pill Pavilion. What did you say? Did the ox speak? Changfeng's eyes widened as he stared at Lin Yu, who was wrapped in bandages on the stretcher. Lin Yu said anxiously, I saw it with my own eyes. Changfeng said, You mean by taking the nose-pooping pellet? Lin Yu said, Amen, I'm sure it's not the effect of that pill, but that the green ox ate something else. Forget about livestock. Even the demon beast deep in the mountains would not be able to speak. Changfeng's eyes darkened slightly. As he thought about what happened on a mountain road a few days ago, he realized that the green ox could actually even send a powerhouse on the Elixir S ranking flying. That green ox. Changfeng pondered for a moment, then said slightly, Could it be that the calf that I brought back from the wilderness is a divine beast? It hasn't exploded for more than 10 years, and it just so happens that it has today. A voice whispered. However, Lin Yu said, Master, Gui Qingshan is too arrogant, and that idiot, the injuries on my body were all sustained by him, and With Eggy's body shattered, he wondered if she could still be human. Changfeng coldly snorted and said, You can't even deal with a fool, and you still have the nerve to call me that? Humph! Take them down. Changfeng gave the order. Lin Yu didn't even have the chance to speak before he was immediately carried away. At this time, a man in his 40s walked out of the room. He was dressed in scholarly robes, as he said indifferently, The seventh prince is infuriated at the palace. The empress is very unhappy. I heard that powerhouse golden ring has already been sent out. Grand Elder, Gui Qingshan has to be taught a good lesson, and it would be best if it could be handed over to the seventh prince. Changfeng said in a faint voice, Gui Qingshan's identity is a little special. He even has a sect master's order on him, and his cultivation has never been completely exposed. You want to make a move against him. The man continued, If you can't make a move against Gui Qingshan, you can make a move against his daughter and the fool he brought back. It's almost time for the sect selection. It's normal for a few people to die or disappear during the selection process. Changfeng laughed complacently. Didn't seventh prince fall for Xiao Dai? Just nice. Give it to him to extinguish the fire. Chapter 22:17. Xianyu Treasure. Chapter 22:17. Xianyu Treasure. In the early morning, Long Fei brought the water buffalo down the mountain slope. Long Fei still wanted to find the spirit grass in the valley. But this time, it seemed as if his luck wasn't enough. He didn't even find a single spirit grass. Long Fei had gained experience and was only 600 experience away from Escalate Body 2 stage. Sigh, if there is another mission, I should be able to break through again. Long Fei sat on a rock, holding a blade of grass in his mouth. In the past few days, he had been constantly studying the madman system in his mind. The system was indeed a good item. However, it was a good item, but he did not know how to use it right now. It was precisely those 73 space ring, the contents of which Long Fei wanted to drool just by looking at them, but he couldn't take any of them out. This was like a naked and peerlessly beautiful woman constantly flirting and flirting in front of him, but he could do nothing. Unwell, the water buffalo walked to Long Fei's side and asked, Brother Long, what are you thinking about? The aquatic cow knew very well that Long Fei had saved him, and also addressed him as Brother Long. Long Fei shook his head and said, Nothing. Great Water Ox said, Xiao Dai has said it. There's still 3 days before the Xianyu sect selection, and the selection criteria is body refining 3rd level. Your current cultivation is not good. Why don't you cultivate it? When it came to cultivation, Long Fei was also puzzled. He had tried cultivating in the past few days. However, the spiritual energy between heaven and earth seemed to have no obstructions, and he could not feel it at all, let alone introduce it into the body tempering process. Unable to cultivate, Long Fei didn't know. However, he was clear that he could only rely on the system to cultivate. Last time, when I killed 3 clouded leopard, I broke through. If there were more of them, maybe. Long Fei was immediately interested and said, Dainyu, do you have any low-level demon beast hunting in the Xianyu sect? Wild animals are fine too. The water buffalo shivered. What are you trying to do? Long Fei said, going out to train for a while. Who knows, maybe I can break through. Great Water Ox said, there's no such place in Xianyu sect, but demon beasts are everywhere outside the Xianyu sect. With your current cultivation, you can't even handle level 1 monster. You want to kill them? Brother Long, I don't think you should take the risk. If you don't know how to cultivate, you can go find Old Man Gue. He's extremely formidable. The water buffalo spoke in a low voice. Others might not know it, but he knew it very well. Gue Qingshan was not an ordinary ranker. How could a person who could leave the wilderness be simple? Long Fei could see it too. Gue Qingshan had been hiding his strength the entire time, and he was also very low-key. His only weakness was Xiao Dai. However, no matter how strong Gue Qingshan was, he didn't seem to want to teach him. Long Fei waved his hand. Forget it. Along. It's time for breakfast. Xiao Dai shouted from the hillside. Long Fei replied, yes. He then climbed onto the back of the water buffalo and said, let's go home to eat. Dainyu, in the future, don't speak any human language. Long Fei reminded her. I understand. Although he was an ox, he was no ordinary ox. Before, he couldn't speak human language, but he could understand it. He knew that the human heart was sinister. In this man-eating world, the slightest carelessness would lead to eternal damnation. Along, there are still 3 days until the Xianyu Sect's assessment day. I have decided to pass this Xianyu treasure to you. Xiao Dai said very seriously. As she spoke, she looked at Gue Qingshan from the corner of her eyes. Gue Qingshan drank his porridge without the slightest intention to reply. Long Fei laughed. My talent is dull. I think I can't learn the Xianyu treasure, but I think we should forget about it. I won't waste your time cultivating. Xiao Dai pouted and said, someone is unwilling to teach you. I will teach you. Don't worry, I will definitely help you break through to the 3rd grade of refining body within 3 days. Humph. Xiao Dai looked at Gue Qingshan angrily. Gue Qingshan was still immersed in eating. Xiao Dai became even angrier and said, Daddy, can't you just help along? Gue Qingshan raised his eyes to look at Long Fei and said, earlier, he said that his talent was dull, since his talent was stupid. Then what is there to teach? After finishing the remaining porridge in the bowl, he wiped the corner of his mouth and walked to the door to light up a dry smoke. Xiao Dai stomped his feet in anger and said, along, stop eating, let's go train. Umph, old man, get yourself some lunch. I need to hurry up and train. I don't have time to cook for you. Xiao Dai did not wait for Long Fei to finish eating before he dragged him outside. Gue Qingshan exhaled the smoke, but he did not stop them. It wasn't that he didn't want to teach her, but, just like Long Fei had said, his talent was really dull, or maybe even worse. These few days, he had watched Xiao Dai teaching before. His teaching was not bad, but no matter how Long Fei trained, he was wrong. He didn't know what it meant by cultivating. This wasn't because of a lack of talent. This was a bit of a waste. Seeing the two of them walk far away, Gue Qingshan glanced in the direction of the ox pen and said, Qingyo, protect them. The Saiyan bull chased after him with large strides. A Xianyu treasure. He was created by the first generation of ancestors of the Xianyu sect. No matter if you're the sect master or the disciples, we all start with the Xianyu treasure. The ancestor once relied on the Xianyu treasure to become the super powerhouse of the Zhenwu continent. You will follow what I do today. Under a waterfall, Xiao Dai stood on top of a huge pebble and said earnestly. Long Fei nodded, and Xiao Dai moved his horse and said, First chapter of the Xianyu treasure, body tempering. When your strength flows through all of your acupoints, your entire body will relax, allowing your body to become a huge container. Xiao Dai explained every action he made. Very detailed. Xianyu treasure was a low-level technique of the Xianyu sect. However, it was also a mandatory cultivation technique for every disciple of the Xianyu sect. It contained the body tempering, blood refining, and bones. This was the first half. It was a pretty good beginner cultivation technique. Basic type cultivation technique. The first half wasn't hard, but no matter how hard Long Fei tried, it felt weird, and it was not suitable for him at all. There were several times when he almost fell into the water while standing up unsteadily. Xiao Dai was extremely angry a few times. However, it was always patience that taught him. Plop! In an instant, Long Fei could not stand steadily and directly fell into the water. The water buffalo stuck his head out. Xiao Dai looked at Long Fei with a huff and said, He's really too stupid. Humph! Look at the Xianyu treasure. I'm too lazy to teach it. Xiao Dai dropped the handwritten copy of the Xianyu treasure and left in a rage. Long Fei was also a little discouraged. However, when he saw the Xianyu treasure that Xiao Dai threw down, his eyes froze. Why is there a golden light floating above it? A golden exclamation mark was floating on top of the Xianyu treasure. Long Fei excitedly walked up. Chapter 22:18 Impact. Chapter 22:18 Impact Ding. When Long Fei picked up the Xianyu treasure, a system announcement suddenly sounded out of his mind. Releasing cultivation Xianyu treasure? So this is how I'm going to train? Long Fei immediately said, Cultivate. As soon as Long Fei finished his sentence. And then, the Xianyu treasure in his hands suddenly disappeared, and the system beeped. Ding! The Xianyu treasure has been successfully cultivated. Skill path. Xianyu treasure grade. Basic category. Base consumption. None description. Level increase requires 500 experience to exchange for or to cultivate one's own. What do you mean? Xianyu treasure can be upgraded? Long Fei's heart trembled. Even though he had trained in Xianyu treasure, he was still at the elementary level, only at the beginner level. To obtain strength from the Xianyu treasure, the system gave two methods. First, using experience to exchange for it. After all, the higher the skill level, the stronger the strength. Second, train on your own. Exchanging for one level with 500 experience was still a little high for Long Fei. After all, he needed an experience leveling up right now, and experience was way too important to him. Long Fei thought, cultivate by yourself. Ding! System notification. Breakthrough after enduring the waterfall for an hour. Long Fei raised his head to look at the 100-meter-tall waterfall. His shoulder was probably about to break from the pressure. Long Fei clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. I will train. If he was unwilling to give up on experience, then he could only let his own body endure the pain. Walking to the bottom of the waterfall, Long Fei dove inside head first. Wallala, wallala. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A few minutes later, Long Fei shot forward like an arrow. His shoulders were flushed red, and he was panting heavily. The bones on his shoulders looked like they were about to fall apart. It was very uncomfortable. Long Fei clenched his fists again. Once more under the waterfall, he took a horse stance and put his hands on his thighs. Boom! Boom! A series of deafening explosions rang out. 10 minutes later, Long Fei was forced out again. His back was flushed red, and his spine was bent to the point of bending. I refuse to accept this. Again, Long Fei rushed in again. Again and again. Defeat after defeat, he refused to submit. Am I going too far? It's all because of me that he became a fool. I said I was responsible for him. In the forest, Xiao Dai's anger slowly subsided. In truth, he was not angry at Long Fei either. She was angry that she could not teach Long Fei. If Long Fei was unable to break through to the third rank of body refinement within 3 days, He wouldn't even have the qualifications to take the examination. This way, Long Fei would be chased out of Xianyu sect. She could not bear to let Long Fei leave by himself. I'll teach him when I get back. And then, Xiao Dai turned around and walked towards the waterfall again. At this moment, a few disciples walked out from the forest. I didn't expect there to be such a pretty lady in this desolate mountain range. Young Master Zhou, you like it? Ha ha! Catch him. This is Xianyu sect's territory. Could she be someone from there? Definitely not. Look at the clothes she's wearing. It's not from the Xianyu sect. She's probably also here to participate in the assessment like us. Immediately, the three young boys immediately blocked Xiao Dai's path. Xiao Dai frowned and asked, "Who are you, and what do you want to do?" Zhou Tian walked over and waved the fan in his hand in a romantic manner and said, "Miss, I am the young master of the Zhou family of the Southern Prefecture. I came to Xianyu sect to take the exam. Why don't we do it together?" Xiao Dai coldly snorted, "Get out of the way. Yo, your temper is a little hot. I like it." He kept his fan and said, "Don't worry. As long as you follow me, I promise I will let you enter the Xianyu sect. The Xianyu sect must give face to the Zhou family. The Zhou clan of the Southern County Estate is a great clan." Several people said. Xiao Dai said again, "Say it again. Move away a little. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." Oh! The corner of Zhou Tian's mouth curled up, revealing a look of disdain. "I'd like to see how impolite you can be." Zhang Xin's eyes twitched. The three followers immediately surrounded him. Xiao Dai was not a pushover. He took out his sword and attacked with it. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk 3 sword flowers directly repelled the three attendants, and Xiao Dai said, "I don't want to hurt anyone. Get lost and get lost. You have some strength. However, your father will definitely eat you today." The heaven-revolving fan moved, taking a step forward. His speed was extremely fast. Xiao Dai frowned, but he was not afraid. One side of the move blocked Zhou Tian's move, but at this moment, the corners of Zhou Tian's mouth curled up slightly as he revealed a sneer. A white smoke suddenly shot out from his folding fan. Smoke? Xiao Dai retreated and immediately covered his nose. Although he reacted in time, he still inhaled quite a bit. His body lightened up slightly, and he staggered a few steps. Zhou Tian laughed complacently. He had never failed in this trick before. He said, "Be obedient. Don't worry, I will make you feel good." "Ha! You're courting death." Xiao Dai's sword technique changed. While Zhou Tian was in the midst of being overjoyed, he stabbed out with his sword. Zhou Tian's face changed. There was not a woman like Xiao Dai. Under such circumstances, she did not run, and instead suddenly counterattacked. He was being too restrained. The blade flew right past his face. There was a cut on his face. This was also because Xiao Dai's center of gravity was unstable. Otherwise, Zhou Tian would have been able to see the king of hell with this strike. Plop! Xiao Dai fell to the ground, his vision blurred. Zhou Tian wiped the blood off his face. With anger in his eyes, he shouted, "Bitch, today I will definitely kill you. Catch her." Zhou Tian raged. The three followers immediately charged forward. Xiao Dai supported himself with his sword and quickly ran towards the direction of the waterfall. Beneath the waterfall, Long Fei's body was trembling. His spine was bent under the pressure, and he was feeling incomparable discomfort. Long Fei endured. He tried his best to hold it in. As long as he could endure it, he would be able to break through the Xianyu treasure. Huff, huff, huff. Long Fei gasped for breath heavily. Just a bit more, just a bit more. Suddenly, a shout came from the forest. Long Fei's eyes turned cold. Xiao Dai's voice. He could not hear it clearly because of the waterfall, but he was sure that it was Xiao Dai calling for help. Long Fei did not continue. He took the sky's sword and rushed out of the waterfall. At this moment, the system sounded out. Ding! Chapter 2219, Explosives. Chapter 2219, Explosives. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for breaking through the first stage of Xianyu treasure. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a special reward, level +1. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level. Escalate Body 2 Stage. Level 2. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a special leveling reward. Random draw. The system beep seemed to have gone mad all of a sudden as it sounded out crazily. Long Fei was completely shocked. At the same time, he felt it was strange. I only held on for 40 minutes. I was just 10 minutes away from breaking through. How did I break through? And there's even a reward for skill breakthroughs. There's also a reward for leveling up. Very strange. Long Fei looked at the sky rusted sword in his hand and muttered, "Could it be that it has another ability? What exactly is the attribute of this sword?" He brought along this sky sword when he found it in the barren valley. Right now, he had suddenly made a breakthrough and even received a large amount of rewards because of Long Fei's sudden possession of the sky sword. Are these coincidences? Long Fei was also unable to explain it, but the feeling the sky sword gave him was that it was not simple at all. At this moment, he didn't have time to think about it. He rushed to the shore. At this time, the water buffalo also reacted and charged ashore with Long Fei. "Humph, bitch, even if you scream your throat out today, no one will come to save you. Injure lousy? If I don't ride you under my crotch today, then I won't be surnamed Zhou." Zhou Tian chased after him step by step. Xiao Dai's body swayed unsteadily, his eyes blurred, unable to determine the direction. Seeing that Zhou Tian and the others were about to catch up, Xiao Dai shouted loudly, along. Zhou Tian sneered. "Even if Ague comes today, it's useless, haha. Someone come. Hold her down for me. I will personally strip her of her clothes." A lustful look flashed across Zhou Tian's eyes. The three followers also grabbed Xiao Dai and pressed him to the ground. Zhou Tian raised his sleeves excitedly. "Haha, little girl, I'm coming." He pounced forward. At this moment, Zhou Tian suddenly stopped. His body trembled as he looked at Rusty's sword. His body trembled as he said, "Spare me, spare me, spare me." The one holding the rusted sword was obviously Long Fei. Xiao Dai looked at Long Fei and felt her tensed-up mind loosen. She did not know why, but although Long Fei's cultivation was not high, but seeing him in such a dangerous time, she felt an indescribable sense of security. He closed his eyes and fell asleep. Long Fei's eyes became anxious. Xiao Dai. At this moment, Zhou Tian's reaction was fast. He quickly retreated a few meters and immediately shouted, "Kill him." A person from the Escalate Body 2 stage dares to be the hero and save the beauty? Who gave you the courage? Bastard, do you really want to disturb this father? Attack! The three lackeys reacted and took out their swords to slash at Long Fei. Qing Yo, who was beside him, slightly moved. Long Fei shouted, "I will handle it." The sky sword moved, blocking three of the attacks. One sword blocked. Long Fei retreated. With one step, he kicked out with his back. The other sword struck over. One sweep. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk, 3 streams of blood shot out. 3 followers fell. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Zhou family minor Luo. Rewards, 100 experience points, Berserk God points, 1 point. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Zhou family minor Luo. Rewards, 100 experience points, Berserk God points, 1 point. The system sounded out 3 times. Long Fei raised his gaze and locked onto Zhou Tian. Zhou Tian was secretly shocked. Long Fei's cultivation level was not high, but he was still. His battle experience was like that of a super powerhouse. The 3 attendants from before were also Escalate Body 2 stage. However, he had been instantly killed. Long Fei was also secretly shocked. It was as if he had 100 battles of experience. Zhou Tian took half a step back and said, "I don't care who you are if you know what's good for you, then scram. I am the young master of the Zhou Mansion's Zhou Mansion. If you don't want to die, then scram." The Zhou family of the Southern Prefecture. Big family. But Long Fei had never heard of it before. To a person whose memories were blank, even if he was from the Zhou dynasty, Long Fei would not take him seriously. Who the hell does lousy care about you? You dare to touch my woman? Die! Long Fei was extremely angry. The sky sword moved and thrusted the sword out. Zhou Tian's eyes turned sinister. You overconfident dog, trash of the Escalate Body 2 stage. You think you can beat me? The folding fan moved. An illusion. A cold light flashed, and its speed was more than twice that of Long Fei. At this moment, the fan moved, and several small cold blades flew out. Long Fei was shocked. The sky sword moved out. It was also at this time. The water buffalo, who had been watching from the side, suddenly rushed out. Boom! Zhou Tian couldn't react at all. He didn't think that a water buffalo would be able to attack him. He was directly sent flying by the water buffalo. Bam! He hit a big tree, and his body bounced off. Puff! He spat out a mouthful of blood. When he saw Long Fei holding onto his sword and walking over, he immediately said, "Brat, I am the young master of the Zhou family. If you dare touch a single hair on my head, my father, my big brother will not forgive you, and the Xianyu sect will not forgive you. If you know what's good for you, you better kowtow and admit your mistake." Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei hacked down with his sword. "Luo Li, you've been blabbering nonstop, right? F***CK. He cut Zhou Tian's head off. "I don't care who you are. Even if the king dares to provoke me, I will still kill him." Long Fei's temper was exactly like this. The system beeped. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Zhou Tian for obtaining 500 experience and 1 arrogant god energy value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining first rank magic weapon bone fan. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a first rank body refinement pellet. Ha! Something dropped. Long Fei couldn't help but become excited. The bone fan in Tian Zhou's hand disappeared and appeared in Long Fei's system. However, Long Fei disliked this fan as soon as he saw it and said, "I've exchanged." The bone fan disappeared. Ding. Exchange value plus 10 points. Damn, a magic weapon can actually only be exchanged for 10 exchange value? Aren't you being too stingy? Long Fei disdainfully said, then helped Xiao Dai up and said, "It's not good to stay here for long. Great Water Ox, take Xiao Dai with you to leave first. I'll go and take care of the corpse." Half an hour later, Long Fei caught up with the water buffalo. He was elated. This system is really something. I didn't expect it to drop something after leveling up. Ha, too powerful. Right. Long Fei saw that there were 2 free lottery draws in the system. Free lottery draw. Yes. Thank you for your support. Chapter 2220, I'm Memory. Chapter 2220, I'm Memory, start the lottery. Long Fei gave the order. A giant roulette appeared in his mind, with all sorts of things on it. Sky-splitting divine sword plus 18. Lucky value plus 100 points. Charm value plus 999 points. Body protection art. Golden Sage Warrior, War Pet, Gourd Fire. Looking at them, Long Fei felt dizzy. Her saliva was about to fall to the ground. These things felt extremely familiar to her. Wow, I've already sent out everything I have. Long Fei gulped down his saliva, his eyes shining. The turntable was divided into 108 columns. The better the object, the smaller the grid. All of these things that Long Fei had just seen belonged to the upper tier. They were not the best ones. If he could draw this, he would probably burn incense to death for all 8 generations of his ancestors. In addition to these, there were also some very common things. For example, a Tier 1 spiritual pill, a Tier 1 magic weapon, and even the word empty. The lottery would depend on luck. Long Fei said, "Activate." The wheel began to turn. Long Fei stared at the spinning wheel. He even held his breath. Let's go to the Holy Gladiator War Pet. Let's go to the Gourd Baby. Lucky value is also good. Come on. The roulette slowly stopped and turned around. The Golden Sage turned around. The Gore Boy turned away. Charm value, lucky value. All turned away. The wheel was about to stop spinning, and Long Fei's breathing also suddenly stopped. His eyes widened and stared at the almost invisible crack as his entire person started to get nervous. It's about to be the big prize. It's about to be the big prize. Ha. He couldn't help it. His heart was simply too excited. The spinning wheel was about to stop. The needle pointed at the smallest crack. Long Fei felt that he had hit the jackpot. However, the wheel was still moving. Long Fei was startled and said, "Stop, stop, 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 stop." Ding! The system sounded out. Long Fei ruthlessly snorted, "Screw your sister." The needle was not pointing at the crack, but at the other small square. According to the size of the square, it was divided into two categories, good and bad. This square should be considered as the spiritual treasure in the middle. But, however, it was not a magic weapon, nor was it a spirit pill, nor was it a special item. It was a memory. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for gaining one life memory. Ding! Do you want to activate it? Memory? Long Fei was a little confused and irritated. What was the use of remembering? It could be eaten as food. He could spend money on it. What he lacked the most right now was not memories, but cultivation techniques levels. System your head. This is too darned, isn't it? Long Fei grumbled in his heart, looked at the drawn memories of his life, and sighed helplessly, and said, "Activate." Sigh. The prize went into Long Fei's mind. Next, the memories that were like a filling duck crazily rushed in a Long Fei's mind. From a moment he was born. Very strange. It was extremely strange. The place he was born was neither the Zhen-Wu continent nor the Earth, but in a special space that even Long Fei himself could not say. He was certain that it didn't belong to any plane. It was a very special space. Moreover, after he was born, a stream of power wrapped around him, and then all the people in the entire space were blasted away by this force. Even the mother who gave birth to him. He was the only one left in the space. His whole body was covered with halos of light and dense gaseous flames. A few days later, a group of white-cloaked men, who looked like alien at the same time, entered the dimension and discovered him. Next, various advanced technological instruments appeared in the space. His entire body was filled with instruments. Moreover, a strange machine appeared in the space. Floating above the machine was something that looked like a brain. However, it was made up of fluorescent light. It was very special. Main brain? Long Fei also couldn't explain it clearly. However, the alien doctors who were wearing big, white looked like they were conducting a mysterious experiment. All the instruments are connected from that machine. Long Fei was a mouse. Finally, a blinding light flashed through the space. That machine had cracked, and the main brain on top of the machine had disappeared. Those aliens that were hung with white light were evaporated instantly. Next, Long Fei appeared at the orphanage. From the beginning of the solo games, the Empire, the violent motorcycle, to the later Stone Age, the legend of the dead, the story of the dead westering. Then to the underground cities and warriors, the world of magical beasts, the infernal domain. Hero Alliance. Silence reigned in this chaotic world of games. Long Fei was a genius in every game. Later on, he would become a professional player, but he would only be able to survive by relying on leveling up and selling equipment in the game. The last scene in his memory was the moment right before he transmigrated. The memories ended. This was the memory of his life on Earth. Half a novel later, Long Fei squatted at the side, completely dumbfounded. Damn, so Earth was actually my world. Where did I come from? My name is really Long Fei. But why wasn't I born in a hospital? Why didn't I see my mother's appearance clearly? Why? Who are those alien-s with the big white hair? What is that machine? Long Fei's heart was incomparably complicated. It could be said, it was chaotic like the ocean. Moreover, he was certain that his memories had yet to awaken, and something must have happened, because many things don't appear on Earth. For example, Sky's Sword S. For example, he knew alchemy. This all showed that he still had memories that had yet to awaken. Who exactly is it? Long Fei asked himself. An ordinary Jiaoxi guy on Earth? Or a monster created by someone? In his memory, the people who appeared when he was born and the people who came after him were all of different races. And when he was born, they were all similar to those in the Zhen-Wu continent, all possessing extremely strong powers. His body was also enveloped in a halo of light. This was also strength. The alien that appeared behind them, if one were to use Earth as an example, would definitely be an alien creature. That machine would definitely be an alien technology. Everything made Long Fei's head hurt. And then, Long Fei once again looked at the spinning wheel for the lottery. There were no longer any memory options on the wheel. I come from Earth. I'm a professional player. The wild god system in my mind is the game system. Long Fei muttered to himself. I don't care. Since Laozi is here, let's have a good time. The most beautiful woman, stepping on the most ferocious boss. Why one is one word. Satisfying. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly. He might not understand some of the things at the moment, but he believed that he would understand them in the future. Immediately, Long Fei moved, activating second lottery draw. You have to give me something good this time, right? Chapter 22-21. The Purpose of the Zhou Family. Chapter 22-21. The Purpose of the Zhou Family. Ding. The system sounded out again. System notification. You can only draw the lottery once a day. F***. Long Fei raised his middle finger and said disdainfully, "This is too darned." Very unhappy. He still wanted to draw the Golden Sage Warrior War Pet. In the beginning, he didn't know, but now that he had awakened more than 20 years of memories on Earth, he knew exactly what a Golden Sage Warrior was. If this guy appeared, it would sweep everything away. In his middle years, what? The young master of the Zhou family disappeared near the Xinyu sect? In the main hall of the inner court, Yichang Feng frowned. More than 10 elders were standing on both sides of the hall. Table of contents inside the palace. A middle-aged man's face was filled with anger. Under his robes, a strong wind was blowing. This man's cultivation was extremely powerful, at least at the peak of the elixir realm. If Xinyu sect doesn't give me an explanation today, then don't blame my Zhou family for being impolite. Zhou Xiong said solemnly. The Zhou family's influence in the southern prefecture was enormous. The important thing was that the former head of the Zhou family, Zhou Yaozong, was a great general who commanded an army of 1 million soldiers. Just this point was enough to crush Xinyu sect. Yichang Feng naturally understood and immediately said, "Brother Zhou, don't be angry. The matter has yet to be investigated properly." "Have you investigated thoroughly?" "Do we still need to investigate?" In the entire southern prefecture, who dares to touch a member of the Zhou family? It just so happens that they disappeared right in front of your Xinyu sect. It's definitely someone from your Xinyu sect. Yichang Feng, if you don't give me a satisfactory answer to this matter, my Zhou family will definitely make your Xinyu sect suffer. Zhou Xiong shouted. It was also because of the Guo tribe that Zhou Tiankai wanted to enter the Xinyu sect. But he had even disappeared from Xinyu sect in less than a day. What was this called? This was a slap to the faces of the Zhou family members. If this matter was not handled well, then where would the prestige of the Zhou family lie? Disappeared now. To put plainly, he was dead. Everyone of the Zhou family's blood vein had a special mark on them. Once they disappeared, the Zhou family would immediately know. This was also why the Zhou family's response was so quick. Yichang Feng's brows sank again. Just then, an elder from the law enforcement hall walked in and shook his head lightly at Yichang Feng. "We didn't find anything." The law enforcement hall disciples searched everywhere, but they couldn't find any trace of him. Yichang Feng, what exactly do you all want to do?" Zhou Xiong stared at him and said, "Zhou Tian was watched by the general as he grew up and is his favorite little nephew. If something were to happen to him, forget about your Xianyu sect being still not Guo tribe. Even if you were Guo tribe being now, you would not be able to bear the anger of the general, the commander of a 1,000,000-strong army. Forget about a 1,000,000-strong army. Just Zhou Yaozong himself was an incomparably powerful Zhen Wurel powerhouse. Moreover, he cultivated the Zhao clan's emperor's qi as well. Even the Zhen Wu realm powerhouse was not his match." Yichang Feng said slightly, "Xinyu sect's terrain is strange and dangerous, and there are flying birds and fierce beasts everywhere. We are also very sad about what happened to young Master Zhou, but this does not mean that we, the Xianyu sect, are responsible for it. Brother Zhou, I know that you guys are in a rush. I promise you, I will do my best to find young Master Zhou. If I find out that it was my Xianyu sect disciples, I will definitely not forgive them and bring his head here to apologize. He disappeared into the vicinity of the Xianyu sect. However, the Zhou family did not have any evidence proving that it was the Xianyu sect. Zhou Xiong bellowed, "Yi Changfeng, why should I believe you?" Yi Changfeng said, "I vouch for it in my capacity as the great elder of the Pill Pavilion." Zhou Xiong sneered, "Your identity as the great elder of the Pill Pavilion is nothing. Your guarantee is useful?" Yi Changfeng's face darkened, looking somewhat unhappy. Zhou Xiong said, "The person disappeared from your Xianyu sect. Your Xianyu sect has to go and look for him. In addition, I do not really trust your Xianyu sect, so my Zhou family will also send people to enter the Xianyu sect." "What?" Yi Changfeng glared at him. The faces of the elders in the hall also changed. Yi Changfeng asked, "What do you mean by sending people into the Xianyu sect?" Zhou Xiong said, "This means that our Zhou family must enter the Xianyu sect to find young Master Zhou Tian." "No way. Absolutely not. This is the Xianyu sect, not the Southern Prefecture." Yi Changfeng immediately said heavily, "If the Zhou family were allowed to move in, what would that amount to? Is Xianyu sect still Xianyu sect?" This was undoubtedly slapping Xianyu sect in the face. Moreover, Yi Changfeng finally understood Zhou Xiong's goal was to enter the Xianyu sect. Zhou Tian, it was most likely a pretense. Zhou Xiong laughed coldly and said, "Yi Changfeng, I am not asking for your permission. I am only informing you that tomorrow we will send people to stay in Xianyu sect. Either you hand over young Master Zhou Tian, or we'll come in and look for it ourselves. If you dare to stop them, we might not be able to mobilize the million-strong army, but the huge army of 100,000 will be stationed at the Southern Prefecture. No matter if the Xianyu sect agreed or not, they would still enter the Xianyu sect. And they had to enter." Finished. Zhou Xiong sneered before walking out of the hall. After he left, the hall became a mess. "First Elder, this is too overbearing, isn't it? Why would a Zhou family enter our Xianyu sect? No, absolutely not. Our Xianyu sect is not under the jurisdiction of the officials. Now that the Zhou family is bullying us, how can we be bullied like this? Yes. Besides, it's hard to say if Zhou Tian disappeared in our Xianyu sect. I think the Zhou family want to take over our Xianyu sect's territory. The young master of the Zhou family has indeed come to the Xianyu sect. I have sent people to investigate this matter. The Zhou family has coveted our Xianyu sect's territory for more than a day or two. Now that we are all about to be conferred the title of Gua tribe, he still dares to act so recklessly. He's too arrogant." Yi Changfeng frowned. He could tell from Zhou Xiong's tone that he was very determined. Even if they tried to block it, they probably wouldn't be able to. Moreover, this had a lot to do with the crisis that was currently occurring in the Xianyu sect. Yi Changfeng muttered to himself in his heart, "Could it be? Does our Xianyu sect really have a spirit treasure that even the Zhao dynasty and General Zhou Yaozong coveted? If it is, then what is it?" Afternoon. Xiao Dai woke up with a heavy head. Looking at Long Fei, who was squatting at the door, and thinking back to the moment before he fainted, his heart was secretly warmed, and he said a long, "Thank you." Long Fei reacted and scratched his head with a smile, saying, "It's the great water cow that saved you." Xiao Dai stood up and said, "Of course I know. You're a first-grade refining body martial artist. How could you be a match for that scoundrel?" Long Fei, Xiao Dai slightly stood up and said, "However, I still need to thank you. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have gotten angry at you. It was all because of what I taught you." Xiao Dai apologized, "But I really hope that you can pass the examination and stay with me in Xianyu sect." Long Fei laughed. "I will work hard." Chapter 22:22 Hidden Secrets of the Xianyu Sect. Chapter 22:22 Hidden Secrets of the Xianyu Sect. Long Fei was the one who brought Long Fei along with him. She really hoped that Long Fei could stay. So much so The cultivation technique of Xianyu treasure, which only disciples of Xianyu sect were qualified to train, was taught to Long Fei ahead of time, and even the books were given to Long Fei. Actually, she did not hold much hope for Long Fei, and the Xianyu treasure had also intentionally left this place for him. Even if he left the Xianyu sect in the future, he would at least have a set of cultivation techniques that he could cultivate. It would always be useful. The next day, Gue Qingshan went out before dawn. Xiao Dai got up early to make breakfast. Today was the last day, and tomorrow was the day of the selection examination. If he was still unable to reach the third rank of body refinement, then Long Fei would not have been qualified to participate in the selection and would have been directly kicked out of the Xianyu sect. And Lin Yu had always been waiting for this chance. It's time for breakfast. Xiao Dai shouted to Long Fei, who had just returned from releasing the bull. Let's go cultivate today. I'll teach you another cultivation technique. Xiao Dai said blandly. Today was the last day, and she knew there was nothing she could do. No matter how fast one's cultivation was, it was impossible for one to break through within a few days. Long Fei nodded, and, with that, he started to eat his porridge. Xiao Dai wanted to say something, but held back in the end. Long Fei knew that Xiao Dai was worried about him, and in his heart, he did not want to disappoint Xiao Dai. On the last day, I have to find a place to level up. At this time, Gue Qingshan returned. He was carrying a bamboo basket on his back, which was empty. Gue Qingshan put down the bamboo basket and took out a plant called the headed crow. It wasn't big, but it had a humanoid shape, and there was even a silhouette of its face. This Wookiee tree did not seem very large, but it definitely had several hundred years' time, or even 1,000 years. Gue Qingshan said slightly, Xiao Dai, stew it later. Eat it before you practice. Finished. Gue Qingshan picked up the chopsticks and started to eat, not saying a word. These few days he had been searching all over the mountain for the spirit grass, and he had spent a lot of effort searching for this plant called the head of the guards. On the surface, it was ice cold. Actually, in his heart, Gue Qingshan also wanted to help Long Fei break through and stay. All these years, Xiao Dai was alone, and he rarely saw her smile. Moreover, he saw that Long Fei was a good guy too. Xiao Dai was overjoyed and said, Thank you, father. With this 1,000-year-old Chief Wu along, I will definitely be able to break through. Long Fei said, I still do not need it. He knew that his cultivation was entirely dependent on the system. Not to mention the 1,000-year head Wu. Even the divine pills in the Space Ring S would not be able to help him break through. Gue Qingshan said, I'm not asking you to eat it. Xiao Dai wants to eat it too. Xiao Dai smiled and said, I don't need it. Since I don't need to take the examination, I will give all of them to Along alone. Xiao Dai walked happily into the kitchen. Long Fei's heart warmed. He knew it was useless. Half an hour later, Xiao Dai carefully took out a bowl of soup and said, Let's drink while it's hot. We'll go cultivate later. Long Fei said, Go ahead and drink. Xiao Dai said, There's more in the kitchen. Long Fei took it, blew on it for a while, and drank it all in one gulp. Xiao Dai immediately asked, How is it? Do you feel a warm current flowing through your body? Although this Chief Wu is not a high-grade spirit grass, he is very helpful to cultivators at the body refinement realm. Long Fei smiled. In order to not disappoint Xiao Dai, he revealed an excited expression and said, There's a warm current. Xiao Dai laughed and said, I knew it, Warmth? Not even fart. Long Fei simply did not feel any power from the start. It was not because he couldn't, but because of his body. However, just as Long Fei was laughing bitterly in his heart, something strange happened. Ding. True Qi value plus 10 points. Ding. True Qi value plus 10 points. Ding. The system continuously sounded out, the value of the true Qi increasing bit by bit. Long Fei was secretly happy. This is a warm current, right? Gue Qingshan glanced at Long Fei and sighed. He saw that there was no warmth in Long Fei's body and that the bowl of soup was like water. His physique was truly terrible. Gue Qingshan had examined Long Fei when he was unconscious, and his physique was extremely special. It was also at this time. A few disciples of the law enforcement hall walked up and said, Elder Gue, Let me inform you, your daughter Xiao Dai must also participate in the examination tomorrow. You are not allowed to stay in Xinyu sect. Gui Qingshan was startled. Xiao Dai ran out and said why. The disciple from the law enforcement hall said, there's no reason. Every disciple from Xinyu sect needs to take the examination, and you are no exception. If you want to stay, you have to pass the examination. Xinyu sect does not raise trash. While they were talking, that disciple couldn't help but look at Long Fei with a trace of contempt in his eyes. Xiao Dai bellowed, who are you calling a trash? That disciple said, isn't the person who is fooling around in Xian, you sect, a piece of trash? Are you 16 this year? If you fail to pass this year's selection, you are not allowed to step half a step into Xinyu sect, even if your father is an elder. Xiao Dai refused to accept this and said, I'm going to look for Uncle Sect Master. The disciple said with a sneer, is Sect Master someone that you can meet whenever you want to? You don't even have to look at your own identity. Since you've already said so, whether you participate or not is your problem. In short, if you don't pass the selection, get out of Xianyu sect immediately. Finished. A few disciples walked down the hill with large strides. Xiao Dai said in a huff, the assessment is right. I'll let you all see my Xiao Dai's strength. Let's go. Along, let's go cultivate. We'll take the examination together tomorrow. All day, Xiao Dai was even teaching Long Fei cultivation. However, the progress was slow, like a snail crawling. Long Fei was not stupid, but this kind of training method did not suit him at all. It was evening. Xiao Dai was a little dejected and said, what do we do, Along? Your cultivation does not even meet the requirements to participate in the selection. How will you participate in the assessment tomorrow? Long Fei replied, I will do my best. Work hard. How hard are you going to work? There's only one night left. Even a super genius wouldn't be able to break through in a single night. No way. I need to talk to my father. He is an elder, and he even saved Uncle Sect Master back then. I don't believe that. Finished. Xiao Dai walked up the slope with large strides. Long Fei did not follow him. He climbed onto the back of the green ox and said lightly, to the south mountains. The water buffalo said, Brother Long, have you thought about it? South of the mountain is a place where many demon beasts roam about. If we were to meet them, I'm afraid. Long Fei said, tonight, I must break through. He did not want to make things difficult for Gui Qingshan. Furthermore, he did not want to disappoint Xiao Dai. Upgrade? He only needed 3,000 experience points. So easy? Grand Elder, everything has been arranged. Tomorrow, Gui Qingshan's daughter will participate in the selection. All right. Yichang Feng smiled faintly. Maybe we can give Xiao Dai to the 7th prince and see if he can stop the Zhou family from entering the Xinyu sect. Royal family, the Zhou family that the great general commanded, they all wanted to control the Xinyu sect. In the end, what was the Xinyu sect hiding? Yichang Feng had been thinking about this problem for the past 2 days. Chapter 22-23, Alchemist's Q Skills. Chapter 22-23, Alchemist's Q Skills. The night was as dark as ink. At the southern base of the mountain, there was a man and an ox. There were a few disciples that came to train during the day, but at night, most of them would come to the sections. There was no other reason but that at night, there would be demon beasts that would come to this place. The danger level swiftly rose. Qing Yo said, Brother Long, this is the South Mountain. Every year, several experiential learning disciples die here. Are we really going in? After all, Long Fei's cultivation was only at the Escalate Body 2 stage. He didn't even have the ability to protect himself when facing Demon Beast. Long Fei did not hesitate and said, Enter. He did not want to disappoint Xiao Dai. Moreover, who is he? He was a professional gamer. What kind of game hadn't he played before? Upgrade? Wasn't that an easy task? Long Fei stepped into the southern mountain at this time. The system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to the player, Long Fei, for gaining 100 experience points by stepping into Nanshan. The true Qi is worth 10 points. Would you like to check the Nanshan hazard? There's even an experience reward for running a map. This is great. Long Fei was startled, but in his heart, he started to like the game system in his mind even more. In his previous life, he could only operate it using the mouse and keyboard. It was different now. He was controlling himself and entering the situation. This kind of feeling was extremely embarrassing. Check the risk factor. Location: Southern Mountains of Xianyu Sect Hazard Rate. 1 star map. It's too simple. Long Fei was even more unconcerned in his heart. He strode into the forest and immediately shouted out, "All demon beast, come out and die." It was extremely savage. The voice shook the forest into silence. Not even one of the birds in the nest was startled. The silence was unnerving. The Escalate Body 2 stage only had a vision of 2 meters at night, and it was still a ball of fog. Basically, it was blind and could not see clearly even if a black bear was standing in front of Long Fei. Suddenly, the green ox suddenly shouted, "Brother Long, there's a ferocious beast approaching." As soon as he finished, roar! A red-eyed boar suddenly appeared from the bushes. 1 pig, 2 bears, 3 tigers. This wild boar was at least 300 jin in weight. Its 2 long tusks formed a ball, and its long nose. If he was killed by it, he would probably die. Long Fei's reaction was not slow either. Although the Xianyu treasuress were at level 1, they still had a basic reaction. However, Long Fei's character was, "Don't be terrified, just do it." Seeing the red-eyed wild boar rush forward, he took out his sky sword and attacked. "Shua, let's see if you're powerful, or if your father's sword is." 1 charge, 1 stab. Bam! The sword pierced the wild boar's head, causing its body to bend, causing Long Fei to feel even more pressure. The power in his arms increased. He stomped his foot on the ground. Shua! The sky sword pierced right into the red-eyed boar's skull. The gash on the top of his head also instantly disappeared. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing red-eyed wild boar for obtaining 100 experience and 10 true chi points. 1 strike is enough. Ding! Trigger mission. Quest: kill 100 red-eyed boars. Time: 10 hours. Reward: 1,000 experience points, 100 true chi points, 10 arrogant god energy value points. Note: task failure level 1. Note: you can obtain a special reward from the system after 5 hours. Another mission: 10 hours, 100 wild boars. Long Fei grinned and said, "It's not that difficult, but is it just that there are so many wild boars in the southern mountains?" Long Fei did not care about missions. Who is he? Professional player. What kind of mission had he not seen before? He was worried that there were not so many wild boars in the South Mountain, so he would not be able to complete the mission. "Brother Long, do you need a lot of red-eyed boars?" asked Qing Yo. Long Fei said, "Do you know where I do?" Qing Yo said, "There is a wild boar valley in the south of the mountain, and all of them are red-eyed boars." Long Fei's eyes shone. "How many are there?" Qing Yo said, "A lot, at least a few hundred." Ha! Hurry up and take me with you." Long Fei climbed on top of the green ox and killed the scattered wild boar. If he could finish the quest within 5 hours, he would get a special reward. The green ox didn't hesitate and rushed towards the wild boar valley. Half an hour later, the green ox stopped and looked ahead. "In front of us is the wild boar valley." Long Fei got down from the ground and looked at the pitch-black valley, which seemed like the big mouth of a prehistoric beast. He took a look and said, "I didn't find any red-eyed boars." The green ox lowered its voice. "Brother Long, these wild boars are all hiding." "Is that so?" Long Fei hesitated for a moment, then walked into the valley and shouted, "Grandson, grandfather is here." Qing Yo was dumbfounded. At this moment, in the darkness of the valley, a pair of crimson eyes flashed out. They were like will-o-wisps, extremely terrifying. Half a minute passed. His red eyes swept across the entire valley, and the first few that noticed Long Fei had rushed over. Long Fei counted slightly. "I'm rich. 100 experience points for a wild boar. 100 of them would give me 10,000 experience points. Can I get at least 2 levels higher?" The sky sword moved. The long sword dragged on the ground as it pierced towards the pair of red eyes that were charging towards it. There are no sword moves, only a horizontal slash. Long Fei's current cultivation technique was basically not useful to him. He needed a lot. The sword stabbed out. The sword missed. At this moment, the other 3 wild boars ferociously charged forward. Long Fei's face tensed, his sword supporting on the ground. He jumped out of the way and dodged the attack. However, before he could land on the ground, a wild boar pounced on him. Moo! With a roar, the great green ox charged forward, while the wild bull charged. Bam! The wild boar in midair was knocked flying. However, the cow-like roar woke up more wild boars, and dozens of them rushed down. After Long Fei landed, he quickly rushed to the wild boar that was sent flying by the green ox and stabbed down with his sword. Ding! The second wild boar was killed. However, dozens of wild boars came at once, like a tsunami. Long Fei's expression was anxious. A few wild boars are fine, but there are so many of them, I can't really hold them off. If there were any AoE skills, it would be great. Skills. Skills. Long Fei desperately needed skills right now. Suddenly, Long Fei's mind suddenly flashed. That's right. I even have 1 free lottery draw. Immediately, Long Fei immediately opened the lottery system and said, "Start the lottery." The will was different from the previous one. Taurus Sage Warrior, the Libra Saints, Gord, Xianzong. There were a lot of things, including magic weapon S and battle skills. Long Fei didn't have time to look at the rewards on the spinning wheel. He was being chased by dozens of red-eyed boars. Ding! The lottery ended. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining highly toxic tracking. Q skill of the alchemist Sinjit. Chapter 22-24, Dry Boss. Chapter 22-24, Dry Boss. What the F **K? Can you not be so fierce? Long Fei was instantly excited. He quickly braked and stopped. The green ox also quickly came to a halt and said, "Brother Long, why aren't you running? There are too many ferocious beasts here. We should hurry up and run. If we don't run now, we won't make it." The great water buffalo is naturally timid. Looking at the dense mass of red-eyed boars in the valley, he was also afraid. Long Fei grinned and said, "Right now, they're the ones running, hee. The idea move, cultivate. Skills, highly toxic tracking grade. Level 3 consumption, 5 true chi per second. Duration, 3 minutes cooldown, none haha. I'm going to be awesome." He was very familiar with the skills of alchemists. He could use one word to describe this hero, dogskin plaster. As long as he was stuck, he wouldn't be able to chase him or run away. It was very annoying. Of course, Long Fei now only knew that the highly toxic tracking had no other skills. However, this highly toxic tracking was enough. He finished his training. Long Fei turned around and looked at the valley and said, "Qingniu, follow what I say. Remember, use all of your strength to shout it out. Do you understand?" Qingniu did not understand what Long Fei was trying to do, so he could only nod his head and say, "Brother Long, hurry up. We're almost there." Long Fei's anger sunk as he roared out loudly, "Grandson, grandfather is here. Come be your grandfather." Qingniu's face was ashen. He was still going to ridicule it this time? Isn't this courting death? Following Long Fei's order, even more wild boars rushed out. The green ox was trembling in fear. Long Fei said, "Qingniu, speak. With brother here, there's no need to be afraid of anyone. I told you to say it. Hurry up." Qingniu had to shout out loud to repeat Long Fei's words. "Grandson, grandfather is here. Come, let's fuck grandfather." His voice shook the whole wild boar valley awake. The wild boar's roar echoed out, and the bulldrome, who was already a demon beast at the deepest part of the valley, suddenly stood up. Angry, the wild boar in the valley roared and rushed towards Long Fei. Long Fei was not afraid. He replied excitedly, "The more the better." Green Ox was trembling with fear. All the wild boars in Wild Boar Valley have been enraged. "Brother Long, we've had enough of talking. Now quickly run away." If we don't run now, it'll be too late. Long Fei was not in a hurry and said, Qingyo, wait for my command. Run wherever I tell you to. The green ox nodded its head repeatedly. As long as it could run, it was fine. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. The wild boar army rushed down. Long Fei climbed up the back of the Cyan bull. Without waiting for Long Fei's orders, the Cyan bull dashed out like a runaway wild horse. Long Fei quickly said, slow down, those wild boars have not caught up yet. While they were talking, Qingyo did not understand, but he did not listen to Long Fei and kept on running out of the valley. The red-eyed boars were also crazily chasing and soon reached the back of the cows, but then Long Fei laughed excitedly. You want to chase after me? I'll let you chase after me. The idea moved, releasing the highly toxic tracking. Next, streams of dark green, poisonous smoke slowly emitted from Long Fei's body. At this time, the true Chi's value continuously decreased at 5 points per second. At the same time, the blood troughs on the heads of the wild boar army were rapidly decreasing. Come on, chase me. Come on, chase you guys down. Those poisonous boars also slowed down and started to retch on the spot as they felt dizzy. A string of red numbers started to float up from the top of their heads. 12, 17, 20. Although the damage wasn't too high, it was still a AoE skill. The damage from a few wild boars wasn't light. Long Fei shouted, Qingyo, go back. Hurry up. Qingyo was slightly taken aback. He saw that the wild boars had been poisoned. Yet another wave of wild boars had been poisoned. This skill was simply too satisfying. Chase after lousy? Satisfying? Long Fei was extremely excited, but why? The value of the true Qi dropped a little too fast. Right now, he was only using the Escalate Body 2 stage, and the value of the true Qi was only 400 points. It wouldn't last long. Long Fei himself was not idle either, as he watched the wild boars whose HP was about to run low being pierced with his sword. Once the wild boar died, it would immediately replenish his true Qi points. After half an hour, a large amount of wild boar carcasses fell to the ground. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up, currently at the 3rd grade refining body, level 3. Simple, too simple. Ha! The mission hasn't been completed yet. Go and lead another wave. Long Fei did not stop. If he did not clean up this wild boar valley today, he would not be Long Fei. The feeling of leveling up was too great. His strength increased. His health point had been completely restored, and the value of his true Qi was the same. Just one word, fuck him. Having skills was good. Leveling up was good. Long Fei was extremely pleased. However, when he entered the valley for the 2nd time, before he could make a taunting sound, he felt as if he was crushed by an intimidating pressure. 2 lantern-like red eyes stared at him. Bulldrome, level 2 demon beast, and a commander level 1 at that. Damn, this is pressure. Long Fei felt like his body was frozen. He could not move even a single inch, and his heart was shivering uncontrollably. The pressure came from a powerful aura. Bulldrome stared at Long Fei. Long Fei slowly turned his head and looked at Bulldrome, who was not far away from him like an elephant. His Adam's apple rolled as he heavily swallowed it down. Boss! Its entire body glowed with a golden light. Although it wasn't very strong, it was undoubtedly a boss. Azure Ox! Long Fei shouted. However, in this instant, bam! The Bulldrome suddenly attacked. His speed, strength, all of these came with extreme ferocity. Without giving Long Fei any time to react at all, the pig nose arched, and Long Fei's body instantly flew into the air. Crack! Crack! A few of his ribs were directly broken, and Long Fei's health point had also instantly decreased by more than half. This was only the newly broken through 3rd grade refining body. Long Fei's various attributes had all been raised. If not for this, he would already be a corpse. Bam! With a heavy smash, Long Fei's vital energy and blood tumbled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. So damn strong. At this moment, the green ox rushed up. Brother Long, run! The green ox blocked it. Run! Long Fei climbed up from the ground with much difficulty and swallowed the spirit pellet that burst out from Zhou Tian's body. His health point recovered slightly. The word run doesn't exist in this daddy's dictionary. However, he did not charge towards the bulldrome again. Instead, he turned around and charged at the poisoned wild boars. He was just a bit away from completing the mission. He was just a bit away from leveling up again. Less than 2 hours had passed in the 10 hours time limit. If he could complete it, he would definitely be able to receive a special reward from the system. He had no other choice now. The Cyan Ox was no longer the same as the Cyan Ox before. Long Fei's parasitic spell could no longer be used on him. Therefore, Long Fei wanted to gamble, completing the mission, upgrading, and receiving a special reward. In a single fight, the bike would become a motorbike. Chapter 22-25, Fairy from Heaven, Instant Kill. Chapter 22-25, Fairy from Heaven, Instant Kill. Of course, it was also possible for him to turn the bike into air. Highly toxic tracking. Long Fei released the poison crazily and started killing the boars too. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing red-eyed wild boar. Reward: 100 experience points, true chi value, 10 points. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing red-eyed wild boar. Reward: 100 experience points, true chi value, 10 points. Ding! The system beeped crazily. It was getting closer and closer to 100 sets of task goal. Looking at Long Fei crazily killing the red-eyed wild boar, the bulldrome was even more furious. He rushed towards the big buffalo, whose body was even bigger than the big buffalo. The water buffalo trembled slightly and immediately said, "Brother Pig, don't be angry. I am also a demon beast." Not waiting for him to finish, the bulldrome suddenly nudged. The great water cow was frightened. It turned around and said, "Brother Pig, don't be like this. There's something we can discuss." Bam! Another collision. The great water cow narrowly avoided his attack again and turned around to see Long Fei's violent battle. Even the great water cow's heart was trembling. "Brother Long, are you done yet? I can't hold on any longer. Persevere for a few more seconds." Long Fei replied as the sky sword quickly made its move. A bitter expression appeared on the water buffalo's face. A few seconds is a few seconds? Io. Bulldrome bent his body over the water buffalo, and the water buffalo let out a miserable cry. The water buffalo retreated several thousand kilograms and said, "I can't hold on. I really can't hold on." However, the great water cow didn't abandon Long Fei. Instead, it turned to Bulldrome and said, "Damn, your father has already given you face, right? Don't you not know what's good for you? If you are capable, why the F***CK are you chasing after me?" Finished. The great water buffalo turned around and dashed out. However, the bulldrome didn't even look at him and rushed towards Long Fei in large strides. Its eyes turned blood red. These red-eyed boars were all his descendants. How could they not be enraged when they saw their own descendants being slaughtered just like that? Bang, bang, bang. His footsteps were like thunder, crazily rushing towards Long Fei. The great water bull ran out and turned to look at Bulldrome rushing towards Long Fei. His heart skipped a beat. This is bad. "Brother Long, run!" As he shouted, the water buffalo also charged towards him. 96 heads. Boom! 97 heads. Die! Long Fei did not stop there to kill. He had also noticed the strong beast-like pressure heading towards him, but he remained calm in his heart. 98. Boom! Another red-eyed boar fell. Bang, bang, bang. They were only 10 meters away from Long Fei, and in the blink of an eye, they were already in front of him. Long Fei's heart also tensed up. The sky sword in his hands fiercely thrust it out. Pachi, pachi. 2 wild boars were killed in a string. The 100th. Boom! As the 2 wild boars fell, a system notification sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing red-eyed boar, for obtaining 100 experience and 10 true chi points. Ding! Congratulations player Long Fei for completing 100 red-eyed wild boar quest. Rewards: 1,000 experience points, 100 true chi points, 10 arrogant god energy value points. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently at the 4th grade, refining body, level 4. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the quest with a score of S level. You have received a special reward from a system. Fairy from Heaven. Do you wish to cultivate it? Fairy from Heaven. Duga City's unique skill. A shocking sword strike. Long Fei muttered. This is a F** king godly technique. Cultivate, cultivate. Long Fei shouted continuously. Dugu Chung and Shimen Fengxue had already used it during the battle at the peak of the Purple Taboo. Although they had been defeated, this sword technique could be said to be the pinnacle of sword strikes. An extremely powerful existence. Skills: Fairy from Heaven grade. Divine skill consumption. All true chi cooldown, 20 hours. Description: possesses extraordinary strength. Flying immortal stage with one sword attack. F***CK, a fierce contest. Bulldrome right. The beasts might can crush your father, right? Long Fei's body sank as he pointed at the bulldrome that was charging towards him with the sky sword S, and the corner of his mouth curled up slightly. It was also at this time. Moonlight shone through the clouds. A peculiar light flashed from the sky sword. This light was very special. At the same time, in another world, Long Zhanting, whose entire body was covered in blood within the Dragon Abyss dungeon, suddenly raised his head. His eyes flashed with a sharp light and became extremely excited. Fei-er, you're still alive? Ha! Ha ha! Ha ha! Then, Long Zhanting laughed out arrogantly, his long, graying hair fluttering in the wind like a demon. The dragon-locked chain coughed loudly, shaking the entire Dragon Abyss dungeon. For the past 100 years, Long Zhanting had always kept his head down, suppressing the inside of the Dragon Abyss. However, he was not dead. He believed his son was still alive. He firmly believed in this. Now, he could feel the aura of the sky sword. Even though it was very weak, he could feel it. This meant that his son Long Fei was still alive. The sky sword had accompanied him for countless years, and the sky sword had also recognized Long Zhanting as its master. Back then, the reason why Long Zhanting kept the sky sword was so he could pass it down to Long Fei. God's tribe's big battle. It could be said that the entire God's tribe was in chaos when Long Fei charged through the 10th heaven. God's tribe spent 100 years to suppress everything. New control of the universal large world. In these 100 years, Long Zhanting had not felt the aura of the sky sword even once, but this time he felt it. Moreover, through the aura, he knew that Long Fei was still alive. Excited. Just you wait. Long Wutian, Wild Boar Valley. Long Fei also felt the change in the sky sword. Even though it was only for an instant, it was as if he had felt the power of another world, one that was incomparably familiar with it. He looked like a very familiar person. He didn't know who it was. However, he felt incomparable pain. He didn't think too much about it. Right now, the only thing Long Fei wanted to do was to kill the boss. The long sword moved. He took a heavy step with his right foot and flew into the air. Sky, outer, flying celestial. The sword stabbed down. As the sword intent churned, the entire valley shook violently. From the sky, a sword pierced through the air. Pucci. The sound of something tearing through the air rang out. Bulldrome was pierced by the sword, and his entire body was nailed to the ground. A scarlet number, 1,000,000, floated above his head. 1,000,000 damage. Instant kill. A one-strike kill. Bulldrome didn't even have time to react. Long Fei landed and looked at the gigantic Bulldrome, his heart surging. This is my first boss. Why don't you at least feel better? And then, Long Fei held onto the sky sword tightly, feeling that there was something different about this sky sword. Come, explode for me. The system sounded out. Ding. Chapter 22-26, Holy Artifact, Overlord Tripod. Chapter 22-26, Holy Artifact, Overlord Tripod. This is the first boss. Give me some good items. Boom! Bulldrome's body collapsed, and the sound of system beep could be heard. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Bulldrome for obtaining 1000 EXP, 100 True Chi points, and 1 Mad God value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Bulldrome's physique. Do you wish to fuse it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Bulldrome's blood essence. Do you wish to fuse it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Bulldrome's leather armor. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Overlord Tripod. The things that were dropped were all from the Bulldrome, but the last Overlord Tripod caused Long Fei's chrysanthemum to tighten. What is this? He immediately opened the system to check. Item: Overlord Tripod rank. Holy Artifact description. Possessing the Overlord power, 1 ding down, reduced to ashes. Description 2. Overlord Tripod S can also have alchemy, refine artifacts, and refine talismans. God Holy Artifact. Long Fei stared at the 2 words Holy Artifact with abnormal excitement, and then looked at the description of the Overlord Tripod. Not only is it respectful, it's also able to refine alchemy. 2 words awesome. Just as Long Fei was about to kill the Bulldrome, the Sky Sword released a ray of luck aura. The reason why Holy Artifact could be exposed was also because of the Sky Sword. Long Fei had not been able to see its attribute and had been hiding it all along. It was a rusty sword, so there was no difference, but in Long Fei's heart, the Sky Sword was extraordinary. Keeping the Sky Sword, Long Fei moved. Immediately, a huge wave of Overlord power poured into his body, and with a flick of his right hand, boom! A giant cauldron appeared on Long Fei's right hand, causing his body to sink in and struggle a bit. This is F*King over 10,000 kilograms. Slash! The sleeve on Long Fei's right arm cracked. The dragon-shaped mark tattoo on his right arm also appeared. At this moment, the power on the Overlord Tripod became even more ferocious, as though it had suddenly become stronger. Long Fei grabbed the Overlord Tripod and smashed its foot on the ground. Rumble! Rumble! The ground was cracked open, and the red-eyed boar was smashed to smithereens. It really was an existence that had been reduced to ashes after being struck down by the cauldron. Awesome! The Holy Artifact is in your mouth. Long Fei's face was full of excitement, not only because the Overlord Tripod was a holy artifact, but also because the Overlord Tripod was incomparably eye-catching. If it were to be gathered above one's head, not to mention human, even the gods would be frightened to the point of going limp. Ha ha ha! Long Fei laughed out loud. In another place, Xinyu Sect's law enforcement hall. Master Guan, I beg of you. Gue Qingshan asked in a begging tone. Guan Zhen shook his head. Elder Gue, it's not that I don't want to help you. It's just that this is a matter that can't be helped. Only that brat has already offended the Pill Pavilion. So even if he were to enter the Xinyu sect, he wouldn't end up well. Tell me about your daughter. What is there to be afraid of with your daughter's cultivation? The disciples of the entire Xinyu sect are all brought here for the examination. As an elder of a Xinyu sect, you should set your own example, right? Guanzhen said indifferently. He was the law enforcement elder. He was the head examiner for this selection of new disciples. If he could make sense of the situation, Long Fei would not participate in the selection anymore. In fact, this sort of thing happened quite often. Many of the elders' relatives did not pass the examination and directly came in, but when it came to Gue Qingshan, what they meant was to set an example by oneself. Moreover, as the main examiner, Guanzhen had the right to let some special disciples pass without needing to take any examinations. Everyone knew about this. Guanzhen's words showed that he did not want to help Gue Qingshan. Even when Gue Qingshan was begging him, he did not give him any face. In the past few days, Gue Qingshan had always been trying to find connections for Long Fei, but his relationship with the Xinyu sect was extremely poor and not many people took him seriously. If not for the relationship with the sect master, the seventh prince would probably have been chased out of Xinyu sect. Gue Qingshan asked, hasn't been allowed to participate in the selection examination in the past years. Why are you doing this year? This was what he was puzzled about. This was also what he was worried about. Guanjun explained, Xiao Dai is already 16 and is the final selection age. The reason why I didn't notify you in the past was because I wanted you to bring her for the selection, but you didn't do that. Elder Gui, it's just a selection assessment. I believe in Xiao Dai. Guanjun said while laughing. Gui Qingshan said, and if she is not selected? Guanjun said slightly, if there really is no selection, then, Elder Gui, I can't decide this alone. Out of the corner of his eye, he couldn't help but look at the other end of the hall. Gui Qingshan said, I understand. Finished. Gui Qingshan also looked at the other side of the hall and slowly walked out of the law enforcement agency. Gui Qingshan walked far away. A person walked out of the darkness, Yi Changfeng. Guanjun also quickly went up to welcome him and smiled faintly. Great Elder, you were right. Gui Qingshan really came to find me. Yi Changfeng looked at Gui Qingshan's disappearing relieved smile and said, after offending 7th Prince, if his days are better, then my days will not be better. While they were talking, Yi Changfeng took out a small bottle from his bosom and said, there are 3 blood spirit pills inside. Guanjun's eyes shone with a gold light. He could not hide his joy and said, thank you, great clan elder. Yi Changfeng laughed. If you want to fight with me, I'll use just you, Gui Qingshan. Are you worthy? The next morning, the martial arts arena was bustling with noise and excitement. Tens of thousands of youths rushed over from every direction. These youths all carried their dreams of becoming powerful cultivators in their hearts. As long as they could enter the Xianyu sect and become cultivators through hard work, they would be able to change their fates. The scene was exactly the same as the college entrance exam in his previous life. It was just that the fighter exam was even stricter than the college entrance exam. It was also harder than the college entrance exam. If you fail in the college entrance examination, you might be able to do something else. But if you fail in a martial arts exam, you might end up as one of the lowest level ants in this world forever, unable to turn your body around for the rest of your life. This was an era where the powerhouse was respected. Everything depended on strength. Yawning, Long Fei yawned. He came back late last night, so he didn't have enough sleep and was in a bad mental state. Xiao Dai asked, where did you go last night? Long Fei scratched his head and said, nothing. Xiao Dai did not notice any change in Long Fei's cultivation. Xiao Dai said worriedly, I also don't know if Father found out yet, but right now you are just to escalate body 2 stage. I'm afraid. I'm afraid. Long Fei laughed and said, don't worry. Xiao Dai said, how can I not be worried? I am the one who has brought you to Xianyu's sect. I am responsible for you. Chapter 22-27, Zhou Family Warrior. Chapter 22-27, Zhou Family Warrior. I will be responsible for you. Long Fei was a little touched. However, he had not revealed his current cultivation. After all, he was a professional player and leveling expert. The effort he had put in that night had turned everything upside down. Long Fei thought, I'll give you a pleasant surprise later. At this time, a man dressed in luxurious clothing beside him had a pompous smile on his face. Beautiful girl, what are you going to do to him? It would be better to be responsible for me. He's just a trash of the escalate body 2 stage, and he hasn't even reached the standards for the examination. Exactly. Look at our young master. He's a 4th grade refining body genius. If you follow our young master, you won't lose out. The surrounding crowd burst into laughter. Escalate body 2 stage still wants to test. Let's go home and wash up. Brainless. The exam criteria have been announced. The lowest threshold is body refining 3rd level. I think it's someone with a screw loose. Indeed, every single person dares to participate in the selection. Why don't you take a piss for yourself instead? Trash must have the awareness to become trash. Everyone mocked and discussed. Long Fei was not angry, but Xiao Dai was. What are you laughing at? Talking about other people's trash. What kind of geniuses are you? Along, let's ignore him. What happened to the Escalate Body 2 stage? Even the true martial emperor was able to break through from the refinement realm step by step. Xiao Dai said fiercely. He didn't know why. If this had happened in the past, Long Fei would definitely have exploded with rage, after which he would violently beat up those people who had mocked him. If you don't like it, then do it. However, his expression did not change. He held back an emotion. Endure it? Wrong. Long Fei did not have the word endure in his dictionary. He had remembered all of them down and then started to calculate slowly during the rest of the exams. Suddenly, the crowd was in an uproar. The Zhou family has arrived. The people from the Zhou clan of the Southern County Estate have arrived. Wow, how handsome. The Zhou family of the Southern Prefecture. This is the largest family in our Southern County. Have you heard of it? The young master of the Zhou family, Zhou Tian, disappeared from the Xinyu sect. I heard about this. Who dares to oppose the Zhou family? Zhou Yaozong is the great marshal of war. He controls an army of 1 million people. Aren't those who touch the Zhou family looking to die? In order to investigate the truth, the Zhou family sent people to stay in the Xinyu sect. I heard that they're going to set up a branch in the Xinyu sect. Damn, then isn't this looking down on the Xinyu sect too much? No matter what, Xinyu sect is still a good tribe. Although the decree hasn't come down yet, in less than a month, the decree and the imperial concubine will arrive, right? Is the Zhou family overdoing it? Discussions broke out. Long Fei looked carefully. The few clan elders of the Zhou clan were not ordinary. The dozen or so young disciples gave Long Fei the feeling that. Special guard. He was no ordinary disciple. They were a warrior who had been on the battlefield before and carried a murderous aura with him. They were completely different from ordinary disciples. The way they walked and the way they looked at each other was completely different. Zhou Xiong walked in front of Guanjun and said, "These are our Zhou family's participating disciples." Guanjun smiled and said, All right. All of the Zhou family's disciples are elites. You don't need to test your cultivation to directly enter the assessment later. Zhou Xiong slightly said, "That won't do. No matter what assessment standard your Xinyu sect has, we will do it according to it, so as to avoid people saying that our Zhou family is going too far." And then Zhou Xiong turned around and looked at the disciples behind him and said, "Did you hear that clearly? They all have to follow the standards set by the Xinyu sect." "Yes, sir," everyone shouted in unison. The voice was deep. Guanjun laughed bitterly. Others would not be able to tell, but he was still unable to tell that these so-called Zhou clan disciples were actually warrior-s in the army. They came to participate in the examination. Wasn't this just crushing them all the way? Who could contend against them? He didn't understand. Forget about General Zhou Yaozong. Even if it was the Zhou family in the Southern Palace, they would have more resources for cultivation than a Xinyu sect, so why would they come to the Xinyu sect? To find out the reason for Zhou Tian's disappearance? But there was no need for that. To be stationed in the Xinyu sect, this was indeed a little too arrogant. Adding on the fact that the Xinyu sect was now the Gua tribe, the Zhou family measured the number of points, changed their strategy, allowed a dozen or so elites to participate in the Xinyu sect's assessment and become the Xinyu sect's disciples. However, he then applied for a division. Even so, the Zhou family still chose to enter the Xinyu sect. Xiao Dai's expression changed slightly, and she asked in a low voice, "Along, we weren't exposed, right?" Long Fei shook his head and said, "Don't worry. It would take a long time to find Zhou Tian's corpse." Also, these Zhou family members gave Long Fei the feeling that they were not here for Zhou Tian, but for some other purpose. Long Fei said, "You must be careful of these people during the assessment. If you can run, run." They were all dangerous people. Xiao Dai smirked. "What are you afraid of? The Zhou family doesn't have any good people." There was a strange light in her eyes. Very special. It was as if there was some kind of hatred within this light. Long Fei did not notice. Long Fei thought that it was because of the previous cycle. Long Fei said, "It doesn't matter if you're a good person or a bad person. You have to be careful." At this time, at the main entrance of martial arts arena, A group of people dressed in gold armor, holding on to long spears, rushed into the training grounds, forcefully opening up a path. Seventh Prince, Zhao Etian, swaggered in. Beside him was a middle-aged man. He was not the expert who was ranked 7th in the elixir last time. When Guanzhun saw the 7th Prince, he immediately went forward to welcome him. 7th Prince walked up with large strides, and without even bothering with Guanzhun, he directly walked to the top. His gaze swept across the entire audience and revealed a cold and disdainful smile. He did not put anyone here in his eyes at all. Below the stage, the 8,000 participating disciples did not dare to make sound. Who was the person on the stage? 7th Prince, the Empress's most beloved little son, and he was a super hedonist at that. More importantly, the person following behind him was a peerless expert, the super powerhouse ranked 3rd on the elixir ranking, Miao Chong. Cold as ice. However, his gaze was as if it could kill, causing people to not dare to look him in the eye. Suddenly, Zhao Etian's gaze locked onto Xiao Dai, who was within the crowd. The corner of his mouth curled into a sinister sneer, and he said, "I really miss you to death. Let's see where you can run to this time." Haha. Zhao Etian laughed obscenely. And then, Zhao Etian shot a glance at Guanzhun and said, "I'm here to participate in the selection. Can we begin the examination now?" Everyone below the stage was shocked. 7th Prince was participating in the selection? Did he even need to participate in the selection? Who would dare to compete with him? If they were to say that they didn't dare to fight with the Zhou family just now, then now, they were even more afraid to fight with the 7th Prince, as he was someone who would kill without batting an eye. Moreover, no matter where this fellow goes, even if he were to enter the examination grounds, he would bring along a super powerhouse with him. Who would dare to compete with him? Chapter 22-28, Level Test. Chapter 22-28, Level Test. The reason he came to the 7th Prince this time was to get back at him. Moreover, he had to get even with the prophets. Zhao Etian stared at Xiao Dai coldly, his face filled with a cold sneer. Xiao Dai's body trembled slightly. Long Fei supported him and whispered, "Don't worry, I am here." Xiao Dai laughed bitterly and said, "Along, since you are a Escalate Body 2 stage, don't participate in the selection." When Xiao Dai thought about what happened last time, he felt a sense of lingering fear. If not for the water buffalo going crazy, she would probably have. 7th Prince participating in the test this time was obviously because of her. Furthermore, this time, the buffalo would not accompany her. Besides, the 7th Prince had also replaced an even more powerful expert with him. Once they entered the testing grounds, then Xiao Dai's eyes were completely filled with undisguised hatred this time. It was not the ordinary kind of hatred, but the very, very, very deep kind. It was as if there was an irreconcilable hatred between him and Zhao Etian. Interesting. Long Fei was very clear about what happened that day on the mountain path. Long Fei thought, if you want to participate in the selection, then select well. If you are here to cause trouble, then don't blame me for being rude. Last time I scared you to the point of peeing, and this time it's the same. Long Fei was not a person who feared trouble. The 7th Prince said somewhat impatiently, "Let's start quickly. I can't even wait." Guanzhun immediately said, All right, we'll begin right away. Now, I will announce the start of the Xian Yu Sect selection test. Please line up and test your cultivation. Anyone who has not reached the 3rd grade of refining body will not have the qualifications to enter the selection. As soon as he finished, the surrounding Xian Yu Sect disciples started to get busy. Brat, did you hear that? Those who haven't reached the 3rd grade of body refinement aren't qualified to participate in the selection. I say, why are you still so lazy? Don't waste our time. Exactly. Trash like you waste time every year. Get out of the team. Long Fei turned around to look at them and said, I won't leave. What are you going to do about it? Unhappy? Come up and bite me. F***CK. Everyone was enraged as they stared at Long Fei. No one dared to make a move, because once they did, they would lose the qualification to take the exam. Xiao Dai lowered his head in thought, looking like he was extremely worried about something. The team slowly moved forward. In another place, everyone is here. The people of the Zhou family, the seventh prince, is here. An elder walked up to the three elders and reported. Yichang Feng frowned. The great clan elder of the treasure refining pavilion, Yuan Shan, said, "What is the Zhou family trying to do?" The cultivation resources in the Xianyu sect are not as much as the Zhou family. What are they doing in the Xianyu sect? Great elder of Kung Fu storage pavilion, Wu Yi, replied, under the guise of investigating the disappearance of the disciples. I think they have other motives. Yi Changfeng slightly said, I have investigated. The young master of the Zhou family has truly disappeared, and not just any news. Wu Yi said, then the Zhou family has another goal. Why do we have to look for them in the Xianyu sect when they are missing? Exactly, Yuan Shan asked. What is the Zhao family up to now? Isn't it too quiet in Xianyu sect to send such a hedonistic prince? Yi Changfeng said sternly, don't spout nonsense. The current Zhao family is not the same as the previous Zhao family. Yuan Shan sneered and said, yes, the current Zhao family is of the imperial family, so we cannot speak carelessly. But what about the Zhao family back then? A family of eunuchs that started out as a eunuch. As soon as he finished, Yi Changfeng glared at him. Yuan Shan also realized that his words just now were a little too excessive. If these words were heard by the imperial family, the entire Xianyu sect was about to disappear from this world. Yuan Shan said in a low voice, what I said was the truth. The world of the Zhao family was stolen. This was something that everyone in the world knew. It was just that in that era, the Wei family was rotten to the core, and the Wei dynasty was imbecile and useless. No powerhouse appeared. The Wei clan's dragon fountain had been severed. The Zhao family took advantage of this situation. It was rumored that the Wei clan's dragon vein was cut off by the Zhao clan's ancestor, Zhao Chongshan, become the overlord of the Zhen Wu continent. These are not secrets, but no one dared to say. The Zhao family's methods were very cruel. Moreover, he controlled over 10,000 cultivators and also controlled countless cultivation resources. All the cultivators in the world had to depend on the Zhao family. Only then did the Zhao family's world become so stable. However, Crown Prince Zhao suddenly wanted to marry Luo Nyang, the daughter of Xianyu sect's master Luo Xian. Furthermore, he brought her to the imperial city with lightning speed. The Xianyu sect was immediately conferred the title of Guo tribe. This series of events confused many people. Even the people from a Xianyu sect did not understand. Xianyu sect was merely a small sect. How could it attract the attention of the Zhao family? Interesting. Now, it even allowed 7th Prince Zhao Yiqian to participate in the Xianyu sect's assessment, which made people even more puzzled. Yi Changfeng exhaled slightly and said, no matter what, Xianyu sect is not a match for the Zhao family, so we can only submit. Send my order down. Secretly send 2 more elders to protect the 7th prince's safety. Right. Yi Changfeng asked, what is the cultivation level of this 7th prince? The 2 elders shook their heads, indicating that they didn't know. Lu Bin, 3rd grade refining body passed. This is your identity card. Lin Kai, 3rd grade refining body qualified. Next, most of them were body refining 3rd grade. For those without any cultivation resources, to be able to reach 3rd grade refining body before the age of 15 or 16 was already a pretty good existence. Training. There couldn't be a less wealthy couple. Especially the first word, wealth. Cultivating meant burning money, and it was also burning tons of money. Without the support of a certain amount of money, food, and clothing, there were worries everywhere. How could he train in peace? To buy spirit grass, spirit pills, magic weapon all required a strong financial support. Money was very important. 7th Prince, 8th level of the body, refinement realm. As soon as he finished, the entire audience was stunned. 8th grade refining body? So high. Who's his opponent? The Zhao family has Emperor's Qi in their body. Every single person in the Zhao family is a genius, and a body refining 8th level is really powerful. Yeah, this year's first place belongs to him. 7th Prince laughed complacently. He was proud like a peacock with its tail between its legs, and his eyes were full of pride. Zhou Mo, 5th grade refining body. Zhou Yang, 5th grade refining body. Zhou Hai, 5th grade refining body. The Zhou family's disciples were all at the 5th grade refining body. Moreover, they all had indifferent expressions without a single trace of emotion on their faces. Everyone was shocked once again. The 7th prince also looked at the many disciples of the Zhou family. The corners of his mouth curled up, and he also had a look of disdain. Next, didn't you hear? Long Fei gently touched Xiao Dai, and Xiao Dai finally reacted, walking forward after hesitating for half a second. Xiao Dai, body refining 5th level, qualified. Long Fei was startled and said, Xiao Dai, you broke through? Xiao Dai laughed and nodded. The disciple said to Long Fei, Next, hurry up, don't waste our time. He doesn't need a test, escalate body, 2 stage. Ha! Long Fei slowly walked forward, pressing his strength into his palm. A burst of light exploded out from the black stone. Thank you for your support. Chapter 22-29, Sister will cover you. Chapter 22-29, Sister will cover you. The glow on the black stone climbed higher and higher until it was at 6. The disciple in charge of the test was slightly startled. He looked at Long Fei seriously and muttered, Is the test for the black stone broken? Senior brother, what's the situation? Why is it a 6th grade refining body? I clearly remember that he was a 1st grade refining body martial artist. They had been to the barren hillside where Long Fei was. He was very clear about Long Fei's cultivation. It had only been a few days. It was impossible to go from a 1st grade refining body to a 6th grade refining body. Even a super genius wouldn't be able to do it. Long Fei asked, Is your cultivation level high enough? One of the disciples looked at Long Fei and said, I didn't test well just now. Go test again. Fuck, it's that troublesome. Long Fei complained. Although he was unwilling, he still placed his hand on top. Buzz! The light on the black stone continued to rise. One section after another. It stopped at position 6. The 2 disciples looked at each other and asked, Brat, are you cheating? A few days ago, you were clearly a 1st grade refining body, but now you're a 6th grade refining body? You dare to say that you're not cheating? It was impossible. The path of cultivation lay in breaking through bit by bit. Who could be so abnormal? Long Fei said, A few days ago, I was a 1st rank in refinement, but now I cannot be a 6th rank in refinement. The disciple said, It's not like you're some genius. Long Fei said, Genius is nothing. I am a demon. Genius? Honestly, Long Fei did not place any other so-called genius in his eyes. Any other kind of genius was the same. In front of his berserk god system, even an extreme genius would have to kneel down and sing a song of conquest. Genius? Pooey. The 2 disciples became slightly angry and said, You little rascal, you must be cheating. Long Fei became angry as well and said, Since you claim that I'm cheating, then please take out the evidence. If you cannot take out the evidence, then don't bullsh *T around here. Kid, who did you say was farting? The disciple, standing up, glared at Long Fei. Long Fei was not afraid in the slightest. He stared straight back and said in a daze, I'm talking about you. What's wrong? What's going on? Why are they arguing? It must be because that kid hasn't met the requirements to take the test. Trash is trash. You actually have the nerve to come to participate in the assessment. He's not ashamed of himself either. The crowd began to discuss this. Xiao Dai received the identity token and looked at Long Fei and the test disciple who were arguing as he anxiously ran up. Without caring about anything else, he directly stood in front of Long Fei and stared at the 2 disciples as he shouted, What do you guys want to do? The disciple immediately said, He cheated. Long Fei said, Bullshit. The disciple angrily said, Kid, who did you say? Long Fei said, I'm talking about you. How can I? Ow! You don't have the qualifications to take the examination. The disciple taking the test immediately bellowed with arrogance. He wielded the power to kill and looked at Long Fei with contempt and said, What can you do now? Long Fei sneered. You don't have that right. Xiao Dai still had not figured out the reason for the matter. However, when she saw the 6 sections of light on the black stone, it meant that it was a 6th grade refining body. Long Fei's cultivation was at the 6th grade refining body? Xiao Dai looked at Long Fei, his heart trembling. He at the same time shouted, Along is right. You do not have the rights. Call your law enforcement hall's elders over. All of a sudden, it was very noisy. Quite a few people were looking in their direction. 7th Prince Zhao Etian also looked over. Seeing Xiao Dai protecting Long Fei, he sneered and said, Who is that kid? Your Highness, that person was an orphan that Gui Qingshan picked up from the outside. It seems that he was also here to participate in the examination. Gui Qingshan retrieved it. The 7th Prince disdainfully said, Let him participate in the assessment. Guanjun was startled. 7th Prince's eyes slightly widened. Guanjun immediately replied, Yes. And then, quickly running up, the 2 disciples saw the head elder of the law enforcement hall and immediately complained, Head elder, he cheated. Guanjun looked at the result on the black stone and his heart trembled. He thought to himself, 6th grade refining body? He earnestly sized up Long Fei. He had a silly look on his face. He broke through so fast in just a few days. Guanjun himself didn't believe it either, but he was too lazy to care about that. He shouted out, He meets the conditions for the assessment and allows him to participate. The 2 test disciples were stunned, but before they could say anything, they were stared back at by Guanjun. Long Fei laughed. Did you see that? I say you have no rights. The 2 disciples were in a bad mood. They linked Long Fei's name together. A long pass next. Xiao Dai giggled and said, To think that my father's relationship would be so close, Guanjun personally went in. Xiao Dai believed that it was because of Gui Qingshan's secret communication skill. He looked at Guanjun and said, Thank you, Uncle Guan. After that, she dragged Long Fei to get her identity card. He looked very happy. Long Fei smiled, but did not explain anything. As long as Xiao Dai was happy, it was fine. As for whether or not Gui Qingshan made things clear, it was no longer important. Along, don't worry, I will protect you. I'm already a 5th grade refining body now, so you definitely won't be a problem. Hee. I didn't expect that my father would be so powerful. He actually had the head elder of the law enforcement hall personally come out to let you pass. As long as you can participate in the assessment, you don't have to worry. Big Sis is here to take care of everything. Xiao Dai patted Long Fei's shoulders, looking like a big sister. She started to worry that Long Fei would not be able to pass the selection conditions, but who would have thought that Guanjun would immediately pass? Then the next assessment would not be a problem. Long Fei received the identity token and laughed foolishly. Sis, then you have to protect me. Don't worry, Xiao Dai said proudly. Guanjun walked back to the 7th Prince's side and said, It's done. However, the cultivation level shown on the black stone is 6th grade refining body. Without waiting for Guanjun to finish speaking, Zhao Etian said disdainfully, Is 6th grade refining body very strong? In front of me, who is at the 8th grade refining body, you are just trash. Humph. Zhao Etian looked at Xiao Dai in the distance and was as joyous as a little butterfly as he sneered sinisterly. I will slowly play and play you to death. Guanjun did not speak further. Indeed, 7th Prince's body refining 8th level was the strongest existence amongst this year's exam candidates. In addition, he had the chi of the Emperor of Zhao on him. His strength was comparable to the escalated blood stage, and the 6th grade refining body was indeed not much. Not long later, the cultivation test ended. More than 7,000 disciples had met the requirements. Guanjun said, Your Highness, the assessment is coming up soon. Is there anything else? Zhao Etian thought for a moment, then said to Miao Chong, who was beside him, Uncle Miao, you don't need to worry about the assessment. Miao Chong did not speak any further and coldly replied, Yes. Then his figure flashed and disappeared. Chapter 2230, Hunting Assessment. Chapter 2230, Hunting Assessment. Now, I announce the start of the examination. According to the classification you choose, the assessment will be carried out. Guanjun walked up and her voice dropped, covering the entire training grounds. More than 7,000 disciples were divided into several categories. Alchemy assessment, the artifact forging exam, the test of inscriptions. Then there was the martial hall assessment. Xianyu sect was a middle-tier sect, and there were not many branch halls. In other words, alchemy, artifact forging, and array forging were the four parts of the martial hall. Guo Qingshan had applied to the beast control hall in the past. However, after so many years, he still hadn't recruited a single disciple. Alchemy refining required a strong, innate ability to support it. Cultivating beast taming was even more necessary. Usually, only large sects would have such a place like this. Some of Xianyu's sect's mounts were bought from the outside, although these supporting jobs required a strong inherent skill. Once they succeeded, they would receive more resources than the disciples of the martial hall. It would be better to be like the disciple of Powder Pavilion. Their cultivation were the same, but they were superior, because they were people of the disciple of Powder Pavilion, people who were highly likely to become alchemy masters. More than half of the 7,000 disciples chose alchemy, artifact forging, or formation, while the other half chose to enter the martial hall to take the examination. The martial hall was the martial arts training. Most of them were disciples of the martial hall. "Sis, what are we going to participate in?" Long Fei asked, but he didn't care about it, whether it was artifact forging, alchemy, or formation. Anyway, not even he. Last time when he refined the detoxification panacea, he had a flash of inspiration. There was no alchemy technique in his cultivation technique column. Xiao Dai said, "Martial Hall assessment. When we enter the Martial Hall and earn enough points, we will apply for a division. I want to start Father's Beast Control Hall anew. This is my father's long-cherished wish." Xiao Dai's eyes were filled with passion. "Oh," Long Fei replied and muttered, "Can I control beasts?" The disciples separated. The Zhou family members also entered the martial hall. Zhao Etian watched as Xiao Dai entered the martial hall to take the examination. He also chose the martial hall. An elder of the martial hall walked up and said, "Cultivation is about strength, the strength of the body. To you Muggle people of the refinement realm, the easiest and most effective test is to kill demon beast. Within a day, whoever kills more demon beast will get the qualification to enter the martial hall. Remember, our martial hall doesn't want trash. We will only take the top 1,000. Hunting grounds, Xianbei Mountain. Go." After a few simple sentences, several disciples of the martial hall came out and said, "Follow me." Xiao Dai said, "Along, in a while, we will find a few more people to work with. Hunting demon beasts is not a joke. You must definitely be by my side. Do you remember? You're the one with the escalate body, 2-stage cultivation. You can't take a single attack from the demon beast." Xiao Dai warned once again. Long Fei nodded his head and said, "I will remember, sis. I will follow you closely." Could not withstand the first attack from the demon beast. Last night, Long Fei washed the Wild Boar Valley in blood. Even the Bulldrome was defeated by him. At that time, his cultivation was only at the 3rd grade of refining body. Now he was at the 6th grade of refining body. However, Long Fei was secretly delighted in his heart. "I like killing demon beast. Looks like I'll be able to upgrade another wave." "Your Highness, I have already prepared him for you." Zhao Etian nodded his head. "All right, then let them prepare to go. There is no need for too much of it. Just kill 1,000 demon beast." "Yes, sir." The disciple hugged his hands, then lowered his voice and said, "Your Highness, in addition, we specially prepared a 4-rating monster and beasts." Zhao Etian grinned, glanced at him, and said in satisfaction, "Not bad. You have a bright future." The 4-rating monster and beasts. This was no ordinary demon beast. Even a peak realm warrior would not be a match. Moreover, there are no 4-rating monster and beasts in the Xianbei Mountain. Just this 4-rating monster and beast alone was more than enough to take first place. Selection assessment? Zhao Etienne only wanted to say one word. He. His goal was simple, Xiao Dai. As for the assessment, he didn't need to do it himself. Everything was prepared for him. For people with status like his, forget about Xian Yu Sect S. Even the largest sect of Infinitas S in Zhaog was territory. As long as he said a word, he could immediately become an inner sect disciple. What did the Xian Yu sect count for? Zhao Etienne said. Also, send someone to keep an eye on that little beauty. I want to start a meat fight today. Ha ha. Yes, sir. In another place, the elite warrior S of the Zhou family. Xianbei Mountain is also a part of the Xian Yu sect. Don't let go of any place. Search carefully for me. Yes, sir. Big brother, it's just that. What exactly are we looking for? Everyone looked at Zhou Fang. Indeed, they had no idea what they were looking for. The reason they had come to the Xian Yu sect was to receive General Zhou Yaozong's direct order. Zhou Fang frowned. He shook his head and said, the higher-ups did not specify. They just wanted us to carefully search the Xian Yu sect and not let any suspicious areas slip by. Also telling us to enter the Xian Yu sect to earn 10,000 sect points and to apply for the establishment of a branch hall. This is the general's direct order. It must be done. All of the Zhou family disciples answered in unison, yes. Beneath the Xianbei Mountain, please form a team. Level 1 Monster S are comparable to 5th grade refining body realm cultivators. We will all form a group and split the amount of demon beast killed evenly. Everyone will enter the Xian Yu sect together. We need one more here. This is the body refining 4th grade elite team. Come quickly. Add me. Bro, your cultivation isn't good enough. Why don't you find another team? Long Fei looked at it. The entire scene looked like he was playing a game. This kind of scene made him feel a sense of familiarity. I miss it so much. Game. Life. I didn't even dare to think about it in the past, but now I'm in the game. This feeling feels so good. Long Fei sighed in his heart. At this moment, Xiao Dai brought back 5 people and said, our team is up, ready to go. Big guy, the skinny monkey one, and a couple. These 4 were all 3rd grade refining body martial artists. The other young man was dressed extravagantly and had a magic weapon treasure sword hanging from his waist. Looking at Long Fei's eyes, he revealed a look of despise. In him, Xiao Dai said, yes, the 7 of us will form a group. The youth revealed a displeased expression and said, you didn't clearly explain his cultivation just now. Everyone knows that he only has the qualifications to participate in the assessment after passing the back door. I'm afraid his cultivation is at most at Escalate Body 2 Stage S, right? Xiao Dai said, he is Escalate Body 2 Stage. I am a 5th grade refining body martial artist. If I bring him along, all demon beasts are equal. The youth smiled and said, you can take him with you, but my cultivation is at the 4th grade refining body realm. I can't take the same amount of points. This kind of team is facing a burden. They will absolutely not pass the exam. Xiao Dai said, then what do you want to do? The youth said, it's very simple. Either he cannot have a single demon beast, or I will calculate by myself, or I will withdraw. Long Fei was dissatisfied. Hurry up and F***CK off. We're leaving. Chapter 2231, Captain Shirtong. Chapter 2231. Captain Shirtong, no matter if it was his previous life playing games or now, the thing Long Fei hated the most was team tyrants. You look like your father's level is the highest, and your father is the highest. Long Fei was extremely disdainful. Just like this, he could fight against 10 people, and only with one hand. The youth looked at Long Fei with a sneer. He didn't bother to care about him, and turned to leave. Xiao Dai immediately said, wait. The corners of the youth's mouth curled into a complacent smile. Xiao Dai looked at the other 4. The 4 of them did not speak. They were body refining 3rd level. Simply put, they didn't have the right to speak. Xiao Dai said, all right, I'll let you calculate according to 2 people. She needed the strength of a youth. A cultivation at the 4th grade refining body could allow them to respond well to the attacks of Demon Beast. Long Fei's cultivation was at the second stage, and the other 4 people were at the third stage. If she brought them all along, they would not be able to pass the examination. Then again, Long Fei did not know that for these people, Xiao Dai had requested for a lot of people, but none of them were willing to join her team. The reason was also because of Long Fei. How high could a person who couldn't even meet the basic examination requirements rely on the back door to enter? It was obviously very weak. How could such a burden be able to pass the examination? There was no other way. Xiao Dai could only compromise. The young man said proudly, "That's more like it, but he talked back to me just now, so I'm going to add another one." Xiao Dai raised his eyes, his expression somewhat unhappy, and asked, "What else?" The youth said, "I want to be the captain. I want everything to be under my command." Xiao Dai exhaled, looked at Long Fei, and said, "All right." "Ha!" The youth laughed complacently and said, "Let's hear it from the captain." He was overjoyed. Long Fei was very unhappy. Xiao Dai held back and said lightly, "Captain," the youth said, "the volume is too low, and why didn't you scream? Do you still want to pass the examination and become a disciple of the Xianyu sect?" Xiao Dai shouted, "Captain." The other 4 also shouted loudly, "Captain." The youth laughed. "Ha ha! My name is Shirtong. In the future you will call me Captain Shir." Shirtong coldly glanced at Long Fei and said, "Brat, did you hear me clearly?" "Shirtong?" Long Fei almost burst out laughing. "Why aren't you called Ma Tong?" Shirtong stared at him and bellowed, "What did you say?" Long Fei said, "Bullshit, Captain. I didn't say anything." Shirtong disdainfully said, "Listen to my orders and enter the Xianbei Mountain." The 7 of them entered the Xianbei Mountain's hunting grounds. The hunting grounds of the Xianbei Mountain were around 100 kilometers and were the only path to the Xianbei Mountain veins, which was connected to the Xianbei Mountain veins with a large amount of demon beasts active all year round. Most of them were level 1 or level 2 demon beast. The 3-rate monster and beastess were basically nowhere to be seen, let alone the 4th level or 5-level monster S. However, there was no absolute. After all, the link here was for the Xianbei Mountain Meridian. In Zhaohua, the Xianbei Mountain Veins was also one of the 3 great dangerous mountain ranges, and demon beast ran rampant. Many of the examinees stepped into the Xianbei Mountain one after another. A Grand Elder, the 7th Prince, and the others have entered. Yi Changfeng nodded his head and said, "I understand. We're the people I sent to protect. They are 2 elders. Their cultivation are at the 8th grade of the blood refinement realm. They should be able to ensure his safety." Yi Changfeng nodded his head again and said, "All right, I got it. You can go now." "Yes, sir." Yu Wanshan was a little displeased and said, "Senior Brother Yin, why did you send someone to protect him?" And Wu Yi frowned and said faintly, "Give old man Gui's precious daughter to him. I'm afraid that if his hair gets on fire. After all, his relationship with Sect Master is not ordinary." Yi Changfeng laughed faintly. "I haven't arranged anything. Even if I arranged it, what can Gui Qingshan do? So what if he has a good relationship with the Grand Master? Even though this is the Xianyu sect, but this is Zhao Gui's territory, and also..." Yi Changfeng looked in the direction of the desolate hillside and muttered, "After today, Gui Qingshan will not be a part of the Xianyu sect anymore." He knew the reason behind Miao Chang's departure. How could he let Gui Qingshan go so easily when a guy like the 7th Prince was so vindictive? Impossible. Last time he was ranked 7th on the elixir ranking, but this time he was ranked 3rd, Miao Chang. No matter how powerful Gui Qingshan was, he would not be able to escape this calamity. And it was the same for Gui Qingshan's daughter. Fighting with anyone is fine, but don't fight with the heavens. Here, in Zhao Gui's territory, the Zhao dynasty was the sky, Zhen Wu continent, a small plane within the universal large world. Zhao Chongshan was the ruler of 9 or 5 years. At the same time, when he became the ruler of the world, he was also an outer disciple of the god's tribe. He was patrolling the Zhen Wu continent for him. Roar! A 3-meter-long fire lizard rushed forward. Everywhere they passed, the grass and trees would quickly burn and wither. Waving his long, flaming tongue, he rapidly charged towards Long Fei's group. Sure Tong retreated back and anxiously shouted, "Shout, die! Quickly go up! Quickly go up! Quickly stop him!" Without waiting for Sure Tong's command, she had already rushed forward. When the other four saw Sure Tong retreating, they were also scared and quickly retreated with a pale face, leaving only Xiao Dai to fight him alone. The fire lizard was just a level 1 monster. His only attack was the flames on his body. This kind of demon beast belongs to the very low-level demon beast, and their intelligence is basically 0. But just this one demon beast caused all 5 of them to stagger backwards. Was this a team? 5 minutes later, huff! Xiao Dai gasped heavily. His body had been burned in a few places, but he managed to kill the fire lizard. Sure Tong laughed mischievously as he strode forward and said, "Xiao Dai, not bad. Finished." He walked up to the lizard's corpse and chopped off its head with a sword. He placed it among his own space ring and said with a smile, "Let's go find the next one." Long Fei saw the burn wounds on Xiao Dai's body, felt pain in his heart, and shouted angrily, "This is a team? This is dog shit." Sure Tong's eyes widened. He turned and stared at Long Fei and said, "Brat, what the F***CK are you saying?" Long Fei said, "You are just a pile of dog shit." Sure Tong was enraged. He walked to Long Fei and shouted, "If you have the guts, say it again." Xiao Dai immediately pulled Long Fei back, shook his head, and indicated for him not to be impulsive. Long Fei did not care about others. But Xiao Dai was injured, but he could not. Not to mention, one team was taking down the other team members while the rest were just watching for the sidelines. What kind of team was this? Watching a team play? Long Fei stared fiercely at Sure Tong, raised his finger, and pointed to Sure Tong's nose, enunciating word by word. "You are just a pile of dog poop." The corner of Sure Tong's eyes twitched, and he said angrily, "Trash, I think you're tired of living." Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei's right hand turned into a palm, and without giving Sure Tong time to react, he fiercely slapped it down. "Thank you for your support." Chapter 2232, Lousy Can't Kill You. Chapter 2232, Lousy Can't Kill You. Yi Zichen slapped him hard. Fast hands, fast movements. Sure Tong's reaction was not slow either. He had originally wanted to teach Long Fei a lesson, but he did not expect Long Fei to make the first move. However, what level of cultivation was he at? 4th grade, refining body. What cultivation did Long Fei have? 6th grade, refining body. Even if he reacted in time and blocked the attack, the difference in levels was obvious. Pa! A resounding slap connected with his face, causing Sure Tong's eyes to flash with stars. He staggered back, unable to find his way to the north. It took a few wobbles before it came to a stop. The surrounding 5 people were stunned, especially Xiao Dai. The force of Long Fei's palm strike earlier was extremely strong. Even she might not be able to withstand it. The big guy was stunned, so strong. Thin Monkey rolled his eyes. He originally wanted to go and help Sure Tong up, but in the end he endured it. The couple also stared at Long Fei without blinking, as if they were looking at monster. All of them were stunned by Long Fei's palm. Sure Tong shook his head, waking up from his stupor. However, his ears were still buzzing, as if there was a bee crying nonstop in his ears. Very angry. Anger welled up. At this moment, Shua, Sure Tong took out his great sword and pointed it at Long Fei, then said fiercely, "You dare hit me? I'll kill you." He was extremely angry. Long Fei's lips curled up and said in an extremely disdainful manner, "Kill me? With just you?" Sure Tong's eyes turned sinister. His feet moved like the wind, and he formed a sword to attack Long Fei. Sword skill. The footwork is also a martial skill. Xiao Dai's reaction was extremely fast. He quickly rushed in front of Long Fei, blocked Sure Tong, and said, "Captain, don't be angry." Xiao Dai stood in the middle. Her cultivation was above Sure Tong's, and she had just killed a fire lizard by herself, so Sure Tong was still a little afraid of her. However, since he had to take back his pride, Sure Tong shouted. Get out of my way. I will definitely teach this brat a lesson today. You dare to sneak attack me just now. If it wasn't for sneak attack, how could you have hit me? As he said it, only then did the surrounding people react. That's right, it was that brat who sneaked an attack just now. Otherwise, how could an escalate body 2-stage person like him be able to beat the captain up? Brat, you're a bit too insidious, aren't you? Exactly. Captain, what are you planning to do? Monkey said in a fawning manner. Xiao Dai turned towards Long Fei and said, Along, admit your mistake. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, A sneak attack? Do you want to try again? Sure Tong's eyes became angry and said angrily, Do you think I would be afraid of you? Long Fei said, Then come. Ambush. What a joke. She had promised Long Fei that she would definitely take him to the Xianyu sect. This way, no one would have any reason to chase him away. Huff! Xiao Dai looked at Sure Tong and said, Captain, how about this? I'll count to half ahead, and the other half to you. Sure Tong's eyes flashed with a gold light. Long Fei was startled and said, Sis, why are you doing this? Sure Tong smiled slightly. You said it yourself. Xiao Dai said, I said it. Thin Monkey could not help but say, If we're going to cut heads, we will cut heads. The couple said, Exactly. Xiao Dai said, I will reduce it. As usual, Along will be divided up like before. Sure Tong was secretly pleased in his heart. This was the result he wanted, and said indifferently, Since you say so, then it's decided. But I also have one condition. We cannot raise people for free. Everyone on our team must listen to my orders. Everyone here will be under my command. While they were talking, Sure Tong stared at Long Fei. A slap? How could he not take revenge? He definitely would not easily avoid Long Fei. Xiao Dai said, All right. Sure Tong said, Since you agree, then I will begin to give out orders. Along, you go lure the demon beast. We will lay an ambush. This way, killing the demon beast will be much easier. Finished. A faint sneer hung on Sure Tong's face. Hit me? I can't kill you. Chapter 2233, Wolves. Chapter 2233, Wolves, no way. Right after he finished, Xiao Dai immediately objected. Along's cultivation is too low. It's not suitable for him to lure the demon beast. The big guy scratched his head and said, Let me do it. Sure Tong's eyes stared and said, Are you the captain or am I the captain? I just said, we don't raise useless people. If he wants to obtain the demon beast, he must listen to my orders. Sure Tong insisted. He wanted Long Fei to die. It was that simple. Escalate body 2-stage to lure the demon beast? This was no different from courting death. Long Fei said indifferently, I'll go. Sure Tong immediately laughed. That's right. We must obey the order. He laughed complacently. Sure Tong secretly thought, Let's go and have lunch for the demon beast, haha. Xiao Dai pulled Long Fei and shook his head. Long Fei smiled lightly. Sis, I will be fine, don't worry. Attracting monsters? Forget about level 1 monster. Even if it was a divine level boss, Long Fei was fully confident. In the game, this was an extremely common tactic. However, Long Fei knew clearly in his heart that Sure Tong was dealing with him. They wanted him to die. Long Fei said, Bucket of shit, Captain, how many demon beasts should I lure? How many? With just you? Thin Monkey laughed coldly in disdain. Sure Tong said with a serious face, You can attract as many people as you want. The more the better. Of course we are on the same team. You should take note of your safety. He laughed in his heart. What a fool, trying to attract a few demon beasts. Don't you think that you died too quickly, haha. Long Fei replied seriously. Yes. Finished. Long Fei strode into the forest. A minute passed. 10 minutes passed. After half an hour, Long Fei still did not return. A cold smile hung on Sure Tong's lips. Thin Monkey said, Seems like I won't be able to return. Xiao Dai could not sit still any longer. I'll go find him. Sure Tong immediately said, No. Xiao Dai said, It's been so long and I still haven't returned. I'm worried that something might have happened to Along. After Long Fei left, she started feeling uneasy. How could an escalate body two-stage person lure demon beast? She was extremely regretful, so she shouldn't have let Long Fei lure the monster over. Shirtong said, I don't know where he is, but I do not allow you to find him. This is an order. Xiao Dai suddenly stood up and said, I still want to go look for him. Shirtong's eyes turned sinister, and he said coldly, Are you thinking of rebelling? Thin Monkey also immediately stood up and reminded him in a low voice, Captain, her cultivation is at the 5th grade refining body. Shirtong was not afraid, and said, So what if you're a 5th grade refining body martial artist? Am I to be afraid of her? No matter how strong a 5th grade refining body is she stronger than the 7th prince? Who's at the 8th grade refining body? Xiao Dai's expression changed slightly. You are from the 7th prince? A smile emerged on Shirtong's face. At this moment, the huge bloke suddenly shouted, There's movement ahead. Everyone was shocked and quickly squatted down. Boom, boom, boom. His footsteps were so loud that the entire ground was shaking. Trees were constantly being broken and falling, leaving a mess in front of them. What's going on? Shirtong frowned. The big size guy at the front shook his head and said, It doesn't know, but it seems like there are a lot of demon beasts. I don't know if it was brought over by Big Brother along or not. The Thin Monkey said with disdain, He has been feeding the demon beast for a long time. Why would he attract the demon beast? If these demon beasts were drawn here by him, I'll eat them all myself. At this moment, in the dense forest, a figure flashed out. Long Fei. Long Fei shouted loudly. Everyone get ready. The demon beast is here. The big-sized man was startled. Big Brother along, you're still alive. Shirtong's face darkened. They really did attract a demon beast. Thin Monkey's face turned ugly. The couple beside him joked. Monkey, aren't you going to eat the demon beast all by yourself? Hurry up and go. We don't have to do anything. Shirtong stood up and said, What are you cooking, attracting a demon beast after such a long time? Long Fei asked one. Turning his head to look, it was indeed only a wolf-shaped demon beast that rushed out first. Long Fei grinned and said, there's still more. Just as he finished. Roar, roar, roar. One demonic wolf after another rushed out of the dense forest and shot out like arrows. In less than half a minute, there were more than 20 demonic wolves in the surrounding area. Shirtong's face turned pale. He stared at Long Fei and scolded. Are you King crazy? Who asked you to attract so many demon beasts? What was he trying to do? They were going to get wiped out. Long Fei grinned and said, Didn't you say the more the better? So I lured them over, and I still think it's a bit too little. Why don't you guys wait a bit longer, and I'll go and lure more people over. Shirtong's eyes rolled back. He almost fainted from anger. Never would he have thought that Long Fei would attract so many demon beasts. Moreover, these demon beasts were all of the same species. Wolf clan. There were more than 20 of them. It could be said that they were a small pack of wolves. His battle prowess was extremely strong. How could the 7 of them be a match for such a pack of wolves? Even if there were 70 of them, they would still not be a match. Immediately, Shirtong immediately said, Xiao Dai, you big brute, you all go now, quickly, 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 while they were talking. Yet he himself kept retreating. After taking a few steps back, he turned around and ran. Long Fei's eyes moved, and he said, Want to run? His speed suddenly increased. He quickly chased up to Shirtong and blocked his path and said, Bullshit. Where are you going? You're the captain. How can you run? Without a second word, Shirtong pulled out his sword and shouted coldly, You dog, get lost. If he didn't run now, he wouldn't be able to run anymore. More than 20 demon wolves couldn't be dealt with at all. Long Fei gave a cold laugh and said, You'd better go back and fight against the demon wolves. Shirtong's eyes turned sinister as he said, You're courting death. He suddenly struck out with his sword. It was a first-rank magic weapon treasure sword strike aimed at the center of Long Fei's brows. Shirtong's eyes were filled with killing intent as he coldly said, Anyways, the 7th prince doesn't want you to live. Just die. 7th prince. Zhao Tian. Hearing that name, Long Fei's eyes turned cold. In that instant, with a slight movement of the sky sword, Long Fei's figure blurred as he charged forward. Shua! A hole appeared between Shirtong's eyebrows. The gash on his head instantly revealed the bottom of his head. Ding! The system beeped a few times. It was also at this time. Xiao Dai and the big-sized man ran over to Long Fei's side. Seeing Shirtong's corpse on the ground, Xiao Dai was surprised and asked, "Along, why did you kill him?" Thin Monkey's face changed. The couple had the same expression. Although they did not hear clearly what Shirtong and Long Fei had to say, they saw that Long Fei had killed Shirtong in one move. Thin Monkey immediately kicked Shirtong's corpse and spat on it. "Ha! It's best if he dies." Long Fei's gaze swept across them and coldly said, "If anyone dares to speak of it to others, he..." His eyes were filled with killing intent, and his aura was cold and sinister. Other than Xiao Dai, everyone else could not help but shiver. Big Guy said, "Brother Along, what do we do? The wolves have surrounded us." Chapter 234, Sis, step back, I'll do it. Chapter 234, Sis, step back, I'll do it. Long Fei was not afraid of anything. However, he did not want to bring unnecessary trouble to Xiao Dai. That was why he had threatened them. Everyone present was shocked by him. Fear arose in his heart. A person who could attract the wolves and not die, who even dared to kill people, such a person was better left alone. The wolves are surrounded. What should we do now? Xiao Dai asked. She no longer felt like she was looking at the dumbstruck Along anymore. It felt very special. Furthermore, she felt that Long Fei's aura was extremely strong. The others also looked at Long Fei. Long Fei looked at the corpse on the ground, then dragged Shirtong and the wolf pack, and said in a low voice, "Without my orders, no one can move a muscle. Understand?" The idea moved. View true chi value. 480 points. The highly toxic tracking consumed 5 points of true chi per second. This way, it would deplete its true chi value in less than 2 minutes. Whoosh! Long Fei let out a light breath, walked to a place 3 meters away from a wolf, and lightly said, "Hungry, right? As I said earlier, I've prepared some food for you. Come and eat." Finished. Long Fei threw Tong's body forward at the feet of the demon wolf. Immediately, the wolves released low growls. This was not because they were angry, nor was it because they were venting their anger. It was because they were hungry to the point that they couldn't endure it. Long Fei had discovered this from the very beginning. Not just these wolves. Many demon beasts were like this. Moreover, they were all very savage, and many disciples would definitely die in this assessment. The martial arts training was just that cruel. Most of the people who died on the way didn't even have a corpse. Roar! The demon wolves that were initially surrounding them quickly pounced on them and rushed towards Shirtong's body, crazily biting and tearing at it. The intensity of the bite was so intense that only a few demon wolves stared at Long Fei and the others. "Along, let's run," Xiao Dai whispered. This was the best time to run. If he didn't run now, he wouldn't be able to escape. Thin Monkey's legs were already itching to run out. After all, they were facing a pack of wolves. Long Fei grinned. Suddenly, his footsteps rushed forward, directly towards the place where the wolves were the most concentrated. The idea moved and said. The alchemist released his Q skill. Long Fei's body released a poisonous miasma. Immediately, these demon wolves were quickly poisoned, damage continuously rising from their heads. What is he doing? Are you crazy? Is he crazy or a fool? What was he doing in a pack of wolves? You're courting death. Are you guys running? If you don't run, will I run? Everyone's faces turned serious. They were all shocked by Long Fei's actions. Thin Monkey had already run out. Xiao Dai also ran, but she was charging towards Long Fei. The big-sized man was startled. He grinded his teeth and followed Xiao Dai. Only the couple was left in a daze. They didn't move, neither did they run, nor did they move. "Awoo! Awoo!" The demonic wolf roared, and the poisoned demonic wolf started to attack Long Fei. Long Fei's mouth carried a cold smile and said, "You dregs want to injure me? Do you even know who I am? His steps were agile. Every part of him cleverly avoided the attacks of the demon wolves. These steps were the movements from his previous world's games. Long Fei had also been practicing slowly during this period, especially since he spent the entire night practicing. More than 10 demon wolves pounced over, but he didn't even have a single hair on his body. However, the consumption of true chi value was too fast. Just using highly toxic tracking S was not enough to kill these demon wolves. The value of the true chi was too low. Along, I'm here. Xiao Dai quickly rushed forward. The big size guy also said naively, Big brother Long, I'm here too. Long Fei's face became anxious. What are you guys doing here? Didn't I tell you to stay put? When they came to Long Fei, they were actually a little worried. Moreover, would highly toxic tracking hurt them? Long Fei himself was not confident either, but in that instant, he immediately deactivated his skill. He took the chance and jumped out, directly blocking Xiao Dai, and said, Sis, quickly retreat. I'll do it. At this moment, a demonic wolf pounced forward, pouncing towards Long Fei's back. The big bloke, seeing the situation, did not care too much and went to block it. He let out a furious roar. Ah! Shwa! The demon wolf drew 3 bloody lines on the big guy's chest, which were so deep that their bones could be seen. Long Fei was shocked, his heart moved. The figure of the King Kong Li Yuanba appeared in his mind once again. Long Fei was slightly angered. He took out his sky sword and stabbed forward. Oh, the demon wolf died. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing level 1 demonic wolf. Congratulations player Long Fei for killing level 1 demonic wolf. Another demon wolf pounced forward. Xiao Dai reacted quickly and also thrusted out his sword. After severely injuring the demon wolf, Long Fei took the opportunity to kill it in one move. The 3 of them stood in a line. Long Fei looked at the big-sized man and asked, Can you hold on? The big guy smiled innocently and said, No problem, I'm just thick-skinned. Long Fei said, All right, I'll lure the monsters. You guys take the chance to make a move. Remember to immediately retreat after your move. Do you understand that you can't fight for too long? Long Fei said quickly. The big-sized man and Xiao Dai both nodded at the same time, and, All right, attack. Was Long Fei, professional player. He was also a master tactician. In this situation, where their strengths were completely different, he displayed extremely strong battle prowess. Long Fei acted as a tank to block the demon wolf's attack. Moreover, in this situation, he was also the main DPS player. The system kept beeping. This kind of rhythm made him feel as if he was fighting within a game. Moreover, this feeling could only be described with one word: great. It made his blood boil with pleasure. In another place, Your Highness, we've hunted 300 demon beasts so far. I don't know why, but there are a lot of demon beasts in Xianbei Mountain this year. Many of them came out from deep within the Xianyu Mountain range. I don't know what's going on. The 7th prince was lying on the rocking chair, playing with an apple in his hand. He was not concerned with these things at all, and asked, Where is that woman called Xiao Dai now? The man immediately reported, It's in the south side of Xianbei Mountain, and her team has our people, you can rest assured. 7th prince lightly smiled and said, To the south. He looked at the sky. 7th prince said, It's almost dark. Bring her here tonight. In this desolate mountain range, Zhao Etien's mind was filled with Xiao Dai's figure, and he felt that the more Xiao Dai looked at her, the more charismatic he seemed, and the more he wanted to obtain her. That disciple immediately said, Your Highness, don't worry. We will definitely bring her back for you. 7th prince laughed obscenely. Ha ha! Then he looked in the direction of the Xianyu sect and lightly said, Miao Chong, you should have gotten it by now, right? Is that old fart dead? Thank you for your support. Chapter 2235, The Onlooker. Chapter 2235, The Onlooker on a Barren Hillside. Ha! Ha ha! A hearty laugh rang out. Goei Qingshan basically would not laugh like that. Miao Chong was also a cold and murderous person. He would not laugh like that. But amongst the 2 people in the room, There was a large wine jar placed beside one of them. The two of them were Gui Qingshan and Miao Chong. Was he here to kill someone? Were they here to have fun? General, is the princess all right? Miao Chong asked. Gui Qingshan nodded. It's been 16 years. The baby that came out of the wilderness has already grown up. She doesn't know her own past yet. Finished. Gui Qingshan picked up the jar of wine and gulped it down, a hint of loneliness in his eyes. Miao Chong also sighed lightly and said, It's good that you don't know, but the current Zhao family is no longer the Zhao family from 10 years ago. Zhao Chongshan's current cultivation is probably already at the true martial peak realm. In a few years, he might be able to become the true martial emperor. It's better not to let her know about this. It's just adding to her own troubles. Miao Chong drank a mouthful of wine after he finished speaking. Peak of the genuine force. True martial emperor. Gui Qingshan secretly clenched his fists tightly and said solemnly, There are some things that I have to do. After he finished speaking, he took another big gulp of the strong wine. The liquor burned in his throat and reached his stomach. It was as if he had swallowed a ball of fire, causing his entire body to feel parched and hot. Miao Chong looked at Gui Qingshan and said slightly, Great General, so many years have passed. With our current strength, we are unable to defeat the Zhao family. The Zhao family. Too big now. More than half of the cultivators in Zhao's territory were controlled by the royal family. With the addition of the old demon Zhao Chongshan, his strength was unshakable. His other identity was an outer disciple of the god's tribe. You want to overthrow him? It was impossible. Gui Qingshan knew about this too, but some things had to be done, and some people had to be killed. Otherwise, it would be meaningless to be a person. Miao Chong changed the subject and asked, Great General, haven't you met any good seedlings these past few years? Gui Qingshan's gaze recovered slightly. He shook his head. It's difficult. There are countless sects in Zhao's territory. If any genius is discovered, they will be immediately recruited by the sect of Infinitus. There is no shortage of bull these days. Just 1,000 li of horses were missing. As long as you're a genius, once you're discovered, there'll be large sects fighting for you and nurturing you. Xianyu sect was only a middle-ranking sect. Recruiting some special genius disciples was simply too difficult, not to mention that he was just a small elder. Then, the image of Long Fei flashed across Gui Qingshan's mind, and he muttered, I wonder if he counts breaking through from the Escalate Body 2 stage to the 6th grade of body refinement in just one night. Others might not be able to tell, but Gui Qingshan was able to. Moreover, from the moment Long Fei came to this desolate hillside, he had been paying attention to him. Including Long Fei killing Zhou Tian, he had seen it all. He had to say it. Long Fei was very special. Even after observing for so long, he still could not understand Long Fei. Huh? Miao Chong shook and said, Who has this kind of inherent skill? To break through 4 realms consecutively in one night? Gui Qingshan laughed and said, Your talent and potential are all low, and you're probably only at the refinement realm. When you reach the blood refinement realm, the qi refining realm will slow down, or even slow down. He had persisted on obtaining Long Fei's inherent skill before. It could be said, bad, pretty bad kind. Even if his body refining speed broke through a bit faster, it wouldn't be of any use. What he wanted was a super genius who had a chance to enter the Zhenwu realm. Long Fei was obviously not the type of person he was looking for. Miao Chong could not help but sigh. All the cultivators in the world are controlled by the Zhao family. Even if they find out that some peerless genius, the Zhao family, is not obtained, they would not let anyone else have it. While they were talking, Miao Chong glanced at the ox stall outside and looked at the green ox. He could not help but ask, Great General, was it this cow that scared the 7th prince to the point he peed his pants? Regarding this matter, Gui Qingshan was also puzzled and said, This ox's blood vein is not simple. It's just that, no matter how strong the blood vein are, they will still not be a match for powerhouse of the elixir S. I don't know what happened that day. Besides, this cow can talk now. Gui Qingshan had never been able to understand it. Was it because Qing Niu was intelligent, or was it because of the pills refined by Long Fei? There was no way to explain it. Miao Chong was startled. You said human words? This, even a ninth grade spirit beast wouldn't be able to do that, right? What kind of blood vein is this? Gui Qingshan shook his head and said, I still haven't figured this out. Back then, when I was being hunted down, I was forced to put the princess in the cave, and when I returned to find the princess, I found out that this calf was being protected there. You didn't know about this at the time, but quite a few 7-rating monster and beasts died on the side. Miao Chong asked, 7-rating monster and beasts? No wonder it could intimidate the peak powerhouse of the elixir realm. The two of them chatted for a while. The alcohol in the wine jar also gradually decreased. The sun was about to set. Gui Qingshan stood up and said faintly, The 7th prince sent you to kill me. How are you going to explain this now? Miao Chong laughed and said, Haha, what the hell is the 7th prince supposed to be? If it wasn't for your great general, I, Miao Chong, wouldn't be a soldier that you would accept. I used to be one, am one, and will be one again in the future. We'll talk about it later. How am I your opponent? Ha ha ha. Ranked 3rd on the elixir ranking. Zhao Guo's strength was definitely in the top 100. Yet such an expert actually said that he was not his match. How strong was Gui Qingshan? Gui Qingshan asked. Then how are you going to explain this to 7th Prince? Miao Chong laughed and said, Don't worry, I have a way. But for the princess, the 7th Prince participating in the selection might be detrimental to the princess. Gui Qingshan smiled faintly and said, You don't have to worry about this matter. Just based on that kid alone, he is able to suppress someone at the 8th grade of refining body. Last night, he had seen how Long Fei killed Buldrome. The sharpness of that sword. For example, the fairy from heaven. Not to mention the Buldrome. He thought about it for an entire night, but he did not even think of the method to break it. Miao Chong said, That kid, Gui Qingshan said, if he can still maintain this speed, maybe he really is a peerless genius. If that's the case, Gui Qingshan squinted. Traces of hope lit up in his heart. Awesome. Long Fei killed more than 20 wolves in quick succession, and they were all killed by him. From the first 3 people to the couples joining. Finally, Thin Monkey also came back to fight together. Under Long Fei's leadership, a small team displayed extremely strong fighting strength. As he roasted the leg of the wolf, the oil was sizzling and the smell of burnt flesh permeated the air. The big-sized man tore off a big piece of roast meat and laughed foolishly. Big brother along, you are really powerful. Thin Monkey immediately followed up with fawning and said, What's awesome? That's pretty impressive, okay? With these Demon Wolves battle achievements, we will definitely be able to enter the Xinyu sect. At this moment, a few people walked out of the darkness, and the leading person sneered. You're sure? I don't think so, right? Chapter 2236. Robbing? Courting Death. Chapter 2236. Robbing? Courting Death. Xiao Dai's eyes turned cold. She was about to stand up and shout, Who are you people? As soon as she finished speaking, the big-sized man, Thin Monkey, and the young couple immediately stood up. At this moment, whoosh, 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 whoosh. Asterisk, the swords were placed around their necks. The youth in the lead said with a faint smile, Don't move. Kill whoever moves. It was also at this time. A dozen or so people surrounded them. The young man in the lead laughed complacently, walked to Long Fei's side and dodged the roast meat in his hands, then fiercely took a bite. His mouth was filled with oil as he said, This roast meat isn't bad. Long Fei said calmly, You want to eat barbecue? There are as many as you want here. The youth looked at Long Fei and laughed coldly. Xiao Dai asked, What do you want? This is the examination grounds, you all. The teenager was eating the roasted meat. He looked around at the 20-odd corpses of the demon wolves. The heads of these demon wolves had been chopped off. He was astonished. He smiled and said, I don't want to do anything. Hand over the heads of the demon wolves you have killed. The big bloke said straightforwardly, No way, That's what we exchange with our lives. In order to kill these demon beasts, they almost lost their lives. Everyone was wounded, which was why they ignored the warning and didn't have time to react when people approached them. Without waiting for Big Al to finish, the youth glanced at him coldly and slapped his face. He shouted coldly, "What are you trading for? That has nothing to do with me." Pa! A resounding slap. The 5-finger marks on his face were clearly visible. The giant's head tilted, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Everyone moved. It was also at this moment that the long swords on their necks abruptly pressed down and shouted in a heavy voice, "None of you move." The youth sneered. He stared at the big bloke and said, "Is it okay now?" The big bloke refused to accept this. His eyes were as wide as a cow's as he said again, "No. You are F*** king, courting death." The youth's eyes darkened as he slapped him again. "Pa!" The giant spat out another mouthful of blood. At this time, the youth pulled out his sword and pointed it at the big guy's forehead, sneering, "Can you do it now?" His eyes were filled with a cold, killing intent. The surrounding people all laughed. Xiao Dai huffed and puffed. In Thin Monkey, it was the same for the young couple. However, they were both suppressed by the sword and did not dare to move recklessly. Xiao Dai said angrily, "You two are plundering. I will definitely report this matter to the elders." The youth said with a sneer, "Reporting in? Ha ha! After tomorrow, we will be official disciples of the Xianyu sect, and you will only be eliminated. Who are you reporting to? Who would believe in a loser?" "Ha ha! No one would believe a weakling. If you fail the exam, you would be a weakling. With these demon wolf heads, they would be able to pass the examination, while Xiao Dai and the others would be eliminated." Xiao Dai said, "I don't believe you." Without waiting for her to finish speaking, the youth's gaze became even colder and his killing intent grew even stronger. He didn't know why. Long Fei's reaction towards killing intent was exceptionally strong. The killing intent of the youth was completely felt by him. Killing intent. Immediately, Long Fei immediately said, "Hand over all the heads of the demon wolves to them." Xiao Dai was startled. "Along, what are you afraid of?" The big-sized man and the thin monkey were also stunned. This was something that they had risked their lives for, yet they were robbed just like that? They couldn't accept it. Moreover, what did these monster head mean? This meant that they had the qualifications to pass the examination. Without these monster head, they would definitely fail. To them, entering the Xianyu sect was too important. Xiao Dai was also not willing to give up. She did not want to leave this place that she had lived in for more than 10 years. And she also did not want Long Fei to be chased out either. Long Fei's voice became heavy. "Leave it to them. Listen to me. Hand it over." Long Fei shouted heavily. The big guy was not satisfied, but he still did as he was told and took out the demon wolf's head from the wooden signboard. The youth laughed complacently, looked at Long Fei, and said, "Brat, you're still the best. You have a good future, huh?" Long Fei was very clear about this in his heart. If Xiao Dai and the others did not hand over the monster head, the youth would kill them. He couldn't let Xiao Dai take this risk. Not long after, all 20-odd monster head were brought out. Long Fei slightly said, "We have already handed over the monster head. Can you let us go now?" The youth said, "Put it away." A few youngsters quickly came up and stored more than 20 monster head into the spatial wooden signboard. At this time, a youth said, "Brother, this girl is not bad." The teenager looked at Xiao Dai. That person continued, "In any case, they are destined to be eliminated. They won't be able to hold their own against all odds, so why don't we?" Haha. The corners of the youth's mouth curled into an evil smile. Many people also revealed an evil smile. At this time, Long Fei's eyes darkened and said coldly, "If I were you, I would have immediately left with these monster head." His eyes were ice cold and filled with a chilling intent. The young man looked at Long Fei and laughed coldly with disdain. "It's a pity that you're not me and that you'll never become me, understand? Trash." As soon as he finished, the youth walked toward Xiao Dai, laughed lewdly, and said, "Beauty, let this brother have a good time. Perhaps this brother will be happy and bring you along to enter the Xianyu sect tomorrow." At this moment, Long Fei's figure moved. Schwa. Suddenly, he moved. The sword on his neck drew a shallow line of blood on his neck. He didn't care at all. Big brother, be careful. At this time, Long Fei had already rushed in front of him. The young man's eyes turned sinister. He struck his palm towards Long Fei's head and shouted, "You're courting death." However, without waiting for his palm to fall, the sky sword in Long Fei's hand moved, piercing the heart. One-hit kill. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Wu San for obtaining 300 experience, 50 true chi points, and 1 mad god value. Pucci. Wu San glared at Long Fei as his body slowly fell to the ground. 5th grade, refining body. 1 sword kill. Furthermore, that sword just now was incomparably sharp and astonishing. Wu San was not given any time to react at all. Everyone was taken aback. No one thought that Long Fei would suddenly make a move, and that he was trying to kill them. He didn't even blink when he killed. Cold. Resolve. It didn't match his age at all. The last time he killed Zhou Tian, Long Fei did not have any reaction. Killing people was like a very normal thing. This was not a game. People who died cannot be reborn in the spring. But he didn't react at all. It was as if he was used to it. Long Fei himself also felt that it was strange. He felt that he still had memories that had not awakened. None of them had ever seen a killing scene before. As they looked at Wu San, who was covered in blood, all of them trembled. Long Fei shouted in a serious tone, "Scram!" As if they had been granted amnesty, they scrambled to escape. Chapter 2237, Eye of Insight. Chapter 2237, Eye of Insight. In the blink of an eye, all of them had disappeared. The cold and gloomy aura on Long Fei's body receded slightly. Imperceptibly, the pressure he emitted also disappeared. Xiao Dai exhaled. His eyes stared straight at Long Fei, a strange sensation in his heart. However, she liked it, because Along had become stronger. The big-sized man was excited too. Big brother Along, the sword attack just now was too cool. Thin Monkey also said, "One person scared away more than 20 people, huh? Amazing too, amazing." The young couple was also extremely excited as they said, "Mighty." Without waiting for him to speak, Xiao Dai slapped the back of his head and said, "Powerful my ass. What's the use of killing someone? When we told them to scram, we didn't even know how to make them leave their monster head behind. Idiots, idiots." Long Fei stared blankly for a moment, then patted his thigh and said, I forgot. I'll go chase him right away." After saying that, he turned around and was about to give chase. Xiao Dai pulled him back and said, "Forget it. Don't let anything happen to him." Actually, Long Fei did not mind those demon beasts, as they could no longer be hunted. What he cared about was Xiao Dai. The big guy said, "It's such a pity. With those demon beast heads, we can pass the test. What do we do now? Tomorrow morning is the end of the exam. We can't go hunting at night, right?" Thin Monkey looked up at the sky and sighed, saying, "Looks like there's no hope this year. The 3rd time, I won't have the chance next year. I really have to go back to the mountain village and farm some land for my dad." The big guy also said, "My age is also here. This is my last exam. If I don't pass it, I'll have to learn pig slaughtering for my dad." The young couple did not say anything, but they just sighed. If they didn't pass the exam, then they would be disbanded by the families of both parties. To everyone here, entering the Xianyu sect was extremely important and could change their lives. But now, his hopes were dashed. They were going to fight back. Long Fei looked at each and every one of them with a sour feeling in his heart and said, "Hunting tonight." Xiao Dai immediately said, "Are you crazy? The demon beast at night are much stronger than during the day." Night was the world of the demon beast. His eyesight was stronger than a human's. It was better to hide. A little. Compared to the power he had during the day, it was at least 10% stronger. In other words, during the day, he was a level 1 monster, but at night, he was much stronger. Hunting demon beast at night was extremely dangerous. Long Fei said, "Believe me, I'll definitely be able to let all of you pass the examination." Thin Monkey said, "Brother Along, it's not that we don't believe in you. It's that we don't believe in ourselves." We can't even see that far with a torch in our hands. We can't take the pounce of any demon beast. He smiled helplessly. Maybe I am the life of a pig, so I shouldn't have had such a dream like the martial arts training. The couple held hands even tighter. Xiao Dai also lowered his head. Accept your fate. Long Fei didn't know why, but the word resigned seemed to have angered him as he asked, why would you accept your fate? Our lives are in our own hands. Why should we accept our fate? What is fate? Why should I lower my head to it? Regarding fate, Long Fei felt an indescribable rage in his heart. Hate, Long Fei said in a heavy voice. We are our own rulers. Our fates are not bound by any restrictions. We have to believe that my life is not under the heavens. Trust me, I can definitely bring you into the Xianyu sect. Long Fei's eyes lit up. It was a firm and bright light. As if the sky soar beside him had felt the powerful, domineering aura of I give up my life to the heavens. It also flickered with a bit of a bright light. The beam of light floated up slowly like a spirit. Then, S eyes lit up. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Eye of Insight for a duration of 12 hours. As soon as he finished, Long Fei's eyes did not change, but his vision underwent a world-shaking change. What he was looking at right now was the same as it was during the daytime, and he was looking even further ahead. More importantly, his eyes could see through. Even through the trees, the rocks could see what was behind them. What the F ******* K? Long Fei's heart suddenly became excited, his blood boiling. He was so happy that his heart felt like it was going to explode. I have a perspective eye. In his previous life, he had always dreamed of having 2 perspective eyes. Even in his dreams, he wanted to see if there was any girl next door who slept during the day and worked at night. Moreover, from time to time came the high-pitched noise of it. Now, they finally had it. Long Fei's gaze turned slightly and slowly shifted to Xiao Dai's body. He swallowed hard. At this moment, in front of him, Xiao Dai was like naked. It is well-developed. Fiery body. Gudong. Long Fei swallowed his saliva once again, a strong stimulating force surging inside his nose. I can't take it anymore. I'm about to have a nosebleed. Xiao Dai saw that Long Fei was abnormal and couldn't help but take a step forward and ask in concern, Along, what's wrong? Seeing Xiao Dai coming forward, Long Fei took a few steps back and said, I'm fine. The guilt in my heart suddenly rose. You beast! I gave you the Eye of Insight so that you could use it to kill demon beasts, but you used it to look at girls, and even saved you and take care of your girls. You are too beast. F ******. If I don't look, then am I not inferior to beasts? Long Fei struggled in his heart. However, in order to calm himself down, Long Fei withdrew his Eye of Insight. If he continued to look through, he really would not be able to control himself. Wow, I have insight. It can only last for 12 hours. If it can last forever, that would be great. Long Fei took a glance at the sky sword in his hand and thought in his heart, is this sword a BUG? The lucky value is full, and you can even release the Eye of Insight. F *****. This is definitely a BUG. Xiao Dai was infected by Long Fei and said, no matter what, we have to give it our all. The big guy also said, we're going to throw caution to the wind. At worst, we could just go home and kill pigs. Thin Monkey and the young couple also stood up. Xianbei Mountain, the place that led to the deep mountains. Roar. An intense roar exploded in the darkness, causing the entire Xianbei Mountain to tremble. At the same time, another roar exploded and was even more powerful than the previous one. It was like a fight between gods. A huge, colorful lizard. The other was a mountain, like chimpanzee. Countless bloody wounds appeared on the body of the chimpanzee. Several spots of blood gushed out as the chimpanzee continuously roared in anger. The colorful lizard whizzed over. The chimp madly rushed towards Xianbei Mountain. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.